The 13 recent archaeological discoveries that are shaking up everything we know about human history. Hello everyone, and welcome back to our channel. Today we're diving into some truly fascinating discoveries, things you may have never even imagined. Do you think we already understand human history well? Are you confident that what you know about our past is accurate? If your answer is yes, then today's journey is sure to surprise you. For centuries, archaeologists have been digging, studying, and uncovering strange traces that we still can't fully explain. And in recent years, a wave of new discoveries has emerged, turning everything we thought we knew about human history upside down. These findings don't just challenge long-standing theories, they raise brand new questions and shake the very foundations of our understanding. So, what exactly are these discoveries? Join us as we search for answers in 13 groundbreaking archaeological discoveries that are forcing us to rethink everything we know about the past. Let's jump into this incredible journey of exploration, starting right now. A 3,000-year-old hair strand reveals a shocking truth about ancient Europeans. When people think of the Bronze Age, they often imagine crude metal tools, lives deeply tied to hunting and gathering, and mysterious legends about ancient tribes. But have you ever considered the possibility that over 3,000 years ago, our ancestors might have already known about drugs? This isn't just speculation or vague, indirect evidence like residue on ancient pottery. This is direct, concrete proof coming from strands of their actual hair. It sounds like science fiction, but it's a real discovery that's rocked the scientific community, published in the journal Scientific Reports. It all began in a cave on the island of Menorca, a jewel of Spain in the heart of the Mediterranean. The cave, called Escarats, was accidentally discovered by explorers in 1995, but it wasn't until years later that archaeologists slowly began peeling back the layers of time that had covered this place. They unearthed the remains of over 200 individuals, enough to confirm that this was once a long-standing community. But what shocked them most wasn't the human bones or artifacts. It was a set of exquisitely crafted wooden boxes, carefully sealed and filled with locks of red hair. No one expected that these very strands of hair would rewrite a chapter of human history. Using ultra-high-resolution mass spectrometry, researchers detected the presence of atropine, scopolamine, and ephedrine in the hair, three compounds known to cause hallucinations, stimulate the nervous system, and alter states of consciousness. To put it simply, these are the kinds of substances found in natural psychedelics. What's even more fascinating is that these compounds don't enter the body accidentally. The evidence clearly shows that these people consume them intentionally, and for a sustained period, at least 1 year, ruling out any chance of accidental or one-time use. So what were they using them for? Of course, we can't go back in time to ask them, but researchers have proposed a compelling theory that hallucinogens may have played a role in religious or spiritual rituals, possibly under the guidance of ancient shamans. Picture this. Inside a dimly lit cave, the flicker of firelight dancing on the walls, the steady beat of ceremonial drums echoing through the space, these ancient people may have sought contact with the other world, or searched for divine answers by altering their state of consciousness. This discovery doesn't just open a new chapter in European archaeology, it poses a profound question about the spiritual depth and complexity of our ancestors' lives. Could it be that humans have always longed to understand themselves and the universe on a deeper level, even back when they still forged tools from stone? And if that's true, then perhaps the spiritual history of humankind is far older and more mysterious than we ever imagined. The 400-year-old mummy of a toddler. In an ancient crypt deep beneath the town of Helmonsod, Austria, once the final resting place of the powerful Counts of Starhemberg, one of Germany's oldest and most influential noble families, archaeologists made an unusual discovery. Amid elaborately decorated metal coffins, shimmering with age, there was a small, simple wooden casket, almost forgotten. Inside was not the body of a nobleman, but the mummified remains of a toddler, a little boy who had just learned to walk, buried nearly 400 years ago. Thanks to modern technology, the story of this child, who once lived, breathed, and was deeply loved, has been brought back to life in a way that is both moving and chilling. The mystery of the child in the wooden coffin might have remained buried in silence forever, until German scientists decided to perform a virtual autopsy, using advanced CT scans to study soft tissue and bone structure without disturbing the body. Amazingly, the body had been exceptionally well preserved, thanks to traditional mummification techniques. From this, researchers were able to unlock a wealth of information. The boy, with dark hair, had died between the ages of 12 to 18 months. His name was likely Richard Wilhelm, believed to be the first member of a new generation of the Starhemberg family. He died around the year 1625 or 1626. What haunted the researchers was this. Although the child had clearly been well cared for, as shown by his overweight condition and signs of good nutrition, he suffered from severe rickets, a condition caused by a major deficiency in vitamin D. His rib bones were visibly deformed, a classic sign of metabolic bone disease. Even more tragically, CT scans also revealed clear signs of pneumonia, which is believed to have been the immediate cause of death. But how could a child from the aristocracy, a family with access to food, clothing, and medicine, end up malnourished and fatally ill? The answer lies in the strange beauty standards and lifestyle habits of 17th century European nobility. At the time, pale skin was a symbol of status and refinement. A sun-tanned complexion implied manual labor, something only the lower classes did. As a result, noble children were kept indoors, away from sunlight, the most important natural source of vitamin D for healthy bone development. This overprotection, combined with limited medical knowledge of the era, may have tragically doomed little Richard. His death was not just a personal tragedy, it stands as a painful reminder of how love without understanding can still lead to suffering. This is the story of a child bound by the social norms of his time, whose life ended before he ever truly understood the world. And yet, thanks to modern science, he is no longer forgotten. His story is no longer a vague legend, but a voice from the past, a voice that teaches us about history, medicine, and the fragile nature of human life through the ages. The 700-year-old ghost ships, carrying priceless treasures. Do you believe in ghost ships? Not the kind in movies or legends, but real ships that once sailed the seas, vanished without a trace, and then, centuries later, rose from the depths like whispered messages from the past. No, you're not hearing things. In the frigid, mysterious waters of the Baltic Sea, a stunning discovery has left archaeologists and history enthusiasts alike speechless. Two ghost ships from two completely different regions that vanished nearly 700 years ago have resurfaced, lying side by side as if they had a rendezvous set in another lifetime. The story began in spring 2021, when a construction crew was digging a railway tunnel near the town of Varberg in Sweden's Halland County. What they didn't expect was that buried deep underground was one of the greatest untold maritime mysteries in European history. Two medieval shipwrecks, now called Varbergskogen I and Varbergskogen II, gradually emerged. What stunned experts was how incredibly well-preserved the vessels were, nearly intact, showing no signs of collision, damage, or decay. One ship originated from the forested regions of the Netherlands, Belgium, or France, the other from northern Poland. Though they never traveled together, they now rest only 30 feet apart, both sinking into the Baltic depths sometime in the 14th century. Was it an incredible coincidence? Or something more supernatural that science has yet to explain? Analysis revealed that these were not just wrecks, they were priceless time capsules of medieval trade, daily life, and politics. Inside the hulls were perfectly preserved cargo, wooden spoons, barrels, leather shoes, humble items that told grand stories of people, trade routes, and cultures once connected by the sea. One of the two is now considered the most complete medieval shipwreck ever discovered in Sweden. And yet, its cause of sinking remains a mystery. There were no burn marks, no signs of weapon damage, and no evidence of piracy. The most plausible theory so far? A massive storm, which may have overwhelmed both ships, strangers on the sea, pulled by fate to the same final resting place. But that's not the end of the mystery. The Baltic Sea has long been famous for its unnaturally well-preserved shipwrecks, a fact that has baffled scientists for decades. The chemical makeup of the water is often cited as a reason. But could there be something else? Something science hasn't yet uncovered? These Baltic ghost ships are more than just archaeological finds. They are powerful reminders that history never truly dies. It waits beneath the waves and under layers of earth to be discovered, heard, and told once more. And maybe, just maybe, these stories aren't just about the past. They might help us understand the fragile, mysterious journey of humanity through time. the monumental tomb with a 2,000-year-old mummy. Nearly 2,000 years ago, in 79 AD, the city of Pompeii, once a prosperous city of the Roman Empire, was completely destroyed by the eruption of Mount Vesuvius. This remains one of the deadliest natural disasters in European history. The hot lava and gases swept everything away, killing at least 2,000 people. However, after the disaster, Pompeii became a living museum of Roman life, where countless artifacts and objects from a long-lost civilization have been preserved. These remains have helped us uncover fascinating details about the society, culture, and people of Pompeii over the years. Recently, archaeologists sparked a wave of excitement with the discovery of a perfectly preserved mummy, arguably the best ever found in Pompeii. This is remarkable not only because the mummy is nearly intact, but also because there are signs that this individual underwent an extraordinary preservation process, much like embalming. It's hard to believe, right? Details like the white hairs still remaining on the head or part of the ear still intact left researchers in awe. So, who was the person preserved in this tomb? The individual has been identified as Marcus Venerius Secundio, a former slave who, after being freed, became a wealthy and influential figure in Pompeii. Interestingly, he didn't just become rich, but he also achieved a significant social position. While he may not have been extremely wealthy, he certainly held a large fortune. His story serves as a testament to the process of striving and rising within Roman society. From being an enslaved person, Marcus Venerius Secundio found a path to freedom and even achieved significant success. What surprised researchers even more were the inscriptions on the tombstone, which revealed that Marcus wasn't just a wealthy man, but also involved in unique cultural activities. He organized performances in Greek rather than Latin, suggesting that Pompeii at that time had a rich and open cultural exchange. It's clear that this city was a cultural melting pot, where people could easily interact, learn, and create without boundaries. A major question raised by this discovery is whether the embalming of the deceased was an intentional act by the Romans or merely a coincidental event. Archaeologists have yet to find a definitive answer, but this discovery opens a new door for understanding the customs and rituals of ancient Romans. One of the most interesting finds is that researchers also discovered woven fabrics around the mummy, which could offer more information about embalming techniques in the past. The remaining bones and organic materials have been sent to the laboratory for further study, offering a new opportunity to understand the lives of Pompeii's citizens. This not only helps us uncover the secrets of a lost civilization, but also reveals fascinating details about daily life, culture, art, and social relationships in ancient Roman society. 100-million-year-old fossilized reptile bones. Imagine standing in the middle of a barren, sun-baked land that was once the bottom of a vast ocean hundreds of millions of years ago. Then, suddenly, amid the dry red soil, you spot a fossilized bone sticking out. Not from a typical animal, but from the remains of a giant sea creature from the prehistoric era. This is exactly what happened in the remote region of Queensland, Australia, where 3 amateur paleontologists, affectionately known as the Fossil Chicks, accidentally unearthed one of the most spectacular discoveries in recent paleontological history: the nearly complete fossilized skeleton of a juvenile plesiosaur, a marine reptile that lived over 100 million years ago. Known as an elasmosaur, this magnificent creature wasn't just a random fossil, but a crucial piece in helping scientists uncover clues about life during the Cretaceous period, an era dominated by dinosaurs and giant sea creatures. According to Espen Knutsen, a senior expert at the Queensland Museum, this discovery is like the Rosetta Stone of paleontology. Why is that? Typically, when a plesiosaur dies, its head with its long neck, which makes up 2/3 of its body, would easily detach due to decay or the actions of predators. So, finding a fossil that includes both the head and the body is incredibly rare. Living in the Eromanga Sea, an ancient sea that once covered much of inland Australia at a depth of about 164 feet, plesiosaurs were fierce predators. Unlike dinosaurs, they did not have gills and had to come to the surface to breathe, making them more similar to modern-day whales. What's even more exciting is that this newly discovered specimen is a juvenile, providing scientists with an unprecedented opportunity to explore how these massive creatures developed through different stages of their life. But that's not all. Knutsen revealed that by analyzing the chemical composition of the fossil's teeth, Researchers hope to determine its diet, migratory behavior, and habitat. This valuable information could help scientists reconstruct a vivid picture of the ecosystem from hundreds of millions of years ago, from how the creatures moved to what they ate and where they lived. And if you think this is just a one-off discovery, think again. In recent years, Australia has become a hotbed for archaeological finds. From the fossilized skeleton of a giant dinosaur named Cooper, as tall as a two-story building and as long as a basketball court, to the incredible discovery of a flying dragon, a creature described as a terrifying carnivorous beast, which once soared over Australia's skies 105 million years ago. All of these discoveries are gradually revealing an exciting secret: that this barren land was once the stage for majestic creatures, where a fierce battle for survival played out between marine reptiles, dinosaurs, and flying predators. Now, every time the red soil is disturbed, the past rises again, challenging our current understanding of the Earth's history. The 3,500-year-old inscription on an ancient tablet. Can you believe that a small, ancient ceramic tablet about the size of a credit card could reveal a surprising story about society and the economy more than 3,500 years ago? Yes, you heard that right. Recently, archaeologists in Turkey discovered a ceramic tablet dating back to the 15th century BC. What's fascinating about this tablet is that it is not just a piece of inanimate ceramic, but actually records an important transaction related to furniture: the purchase of large wooden tables and chairs, which, surprisingly, was recorded in great detail. When we think of ancient civilizations, we often imagine grand monuments like the pyramids of Egypt or the Parthenon in Greece. But few of us would think that even everyday items like tables and chairs could leave behind such valuable historical traces. What makes this tablet even more intriguing is that it not only records a transaction, but also opens a window into the social and economic structure of that era. Written in Akkadian cuneiform, an ancient language that was commonly used in the Middle East, this tablet provides an important clue for understanding the state structure and the daily life of people in the Late Bronze Age. You may not know that Akkadian is one of the earliest Semitic languages, related to both Arabic and Hebrew, and was widely used from Iran to Egypt and Turkey. The use of Akkadian cuneiform to record transactions like this shows the development of a culture with a systematic writing system and a well-organized society. This not only reflects a business transaction, but also demonstrates an economy with a high degree of specialization and division of labor, where furniture was not merely a practical item, but also a part of the developing material culture. The tablet, modest in size at just 1.6 by 0.6 inches and weighing only 1 ounce, was discovered during restoration work after an earthquake shook the ancient city of Alalakh in the Reyhanlı district of Hatay. This region is historically significant, having once been the capital of the Kingdom of Mukish in the 2nd millennium BC. Alalakh, also known as Tel Achana, was home to the Amorites, a Semitic-speaking people. It was here that archaeologists uncovered the tablet, revealing a glimpse into a society with a vibrant economy and complex transactions. At that time, Alalakh belonged to the Mitanni Empire, a powerful state in West Asia. Known for its advanced ceramics, metalworking, and glass production, the region was not only a trade hub, but also a cultural crossroads where crafted goods and commodities were exchanged widely. In 1350 BC, when King Shadawazza of the Mitanni Kingdom ceded Alalakh to Hittite King Suppiluliuma, this area was not just a commercial center, but also a meeting point for diverse cultures. The tablets discovered in the ancient palaces and castles of Alalakh are currently being studied intensively by archaeologists. These findings will help us better understand the social dynamics and the economy of this region during the Late Bronze Age. What other fascinating details will these tablets reveal? The answer will unfold through ongoing research. From a small ceramic tablet, we have uncovered a treasure trove of information about the lives, society, and economy of people more than 3,500 years ago. So, what do you think about these archaeological discoveries? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below this video. A bottomless cave full of treasures. Do you believe that within a sacred mountain in China, there exists a gateway leading to the past? A shocking discovery has stunned the archaeological community, revealing a mystery buried for thousands of years, all starting with just a shovel from a construction worker. On a normal day in 1983, while a construction team was working on the Xianggang Mountain in Guangzhou, a mountain long known for its sacred status and many legends, something unexpected happened. Their excavator struck a massive empty space beneath the ground. Upon inspection, they discovered a dark, bottomless cave, its depth unfathomable. The atmosphere immediately became tense. None of the workers dared to enter, as the darkness and mystery of the cave were chilling. Instead, they quickly reported the finding to the local authorities and contacted a team of archaeologists to explore this unusual discovery. The archaeologists conducted a preliminary survey, and the results left everyone astonished. This was no ordinary cave, but a structure resembling an ancient tomb. Before beginning the construction project, the team had researched the area and learned that Xianggang Mountain had once been a military fortress, where many feudal generals had chosen as their final resting place to protect their families from the tumultuous changes of history. Therefore, the discovery of an ancient tomb here was not entirely unexpected, though its scale and depth were far beyond what anyone had imagined. Rumors quickly spread. Could this be the hidden treasure trove of a long-lost civilization? Or perhaps an untapped royal tomb? After sealing off the area and using specialized equipment to explore further, the archaeologists discovered a vast chamber, its stone walls intricately carved with patterns. Although time had worn away some of the details, the craftsmanship remained impressive. The inscriptions revealed on the walls startled the experts because they closely resembled the writing from the Western Han Dynasty. To verify this, the team divided into two groups. One studied the inscriptions, comparing them to ancient texts, while the other continued to excavate the tomb area. Historical records indicated that during the Western Han Dynasty, this region belonged to Nanyue, an ancient kingdom in the southern part of China, founded by Zhao Tuo, a general of the Qin dynasty. As they delved deeper, the archaeologists uncovered valuable artifacts such as a giant bronze tripod, intricately carved screens, gold-plated battle armor, and numerous weapons, including swords, spears, and even a chariot placed respectfully in the center of the tomb. However, it was not until they discovered a golden seal, engraved with the four characters, Seal of Emperor Wen, that the mystery was truly solved. Emperor Wen was the title of Zhao Hu, the second ruler of the Nanyue Kingdom, and the son of Zhao Tuo. The discovery of the tomb of an ancient king is not only of immense archaeological value, but also serves as a vivid testament to the glorious history of a civilization that once flourished in the southern part of China. Remarkably, despite the passage of thousands of years, this tomb remains almost perfectly intact, untouched by time, as if time itself wishes to preserve it as an invaluable treasure of history. The sparkling gold ore reveals a 1,000-year-old treasure. Covering an area of approximately 830 acres, the vast Suichang Park in Lishui, Zhejiang Province, China, is famous for its mysterious interconnected caves and majestic landscapes. For a long time, it has been a popular destination for nature lovers and explorers. However, no one could have imagined that beneath the seemingly lifeless rocks, one of the largest gold ore deposits ever discovered in China was hidden. In 2015, during a mining operation at the park's exit, a group of researchers unexpectedly stumbled upon a strange rock glowing with a golden hue. Initially, a few workers attempted to dig it out by hand, but the more they dug, the larger and more massive it became, making any manual efforts futile. Unable to ignore such a promising discovery, experts decided to use modern technology to access the site. Using an intelligent mountain drilling system, all equipment, such as cutters, conveyors, and transfer machines, were remotely controlled with just a click of a button. High-resolution AI cameras constantly monitored every movement, ensuring maximum accuracy and safety. Even a special measuring system was integrated to track the depth and mining progress in real time, creating a fully automated process with little need for human intervention. After hours of work, the mysterious treasure was finally revealed. A massive gold ore block weighing a total of approximately 99,208 pounds. What stunned scientists was its composition. Each ton of ore contained 7.66 ounces of gold and 130.2 ounces of silver, a figure that far exceeded any previous estimates. After geological analysis, experts confirmed that this treasure block had been around for over 1,000 years, likely formed during ancient times and possibly related to gold mines that were buried in history. To conduct further analysis, the researchers used 3D scanning AI technology combined with cloud computing to reconstruct the structure, analyze its connections, and examine the surrounding environment. Data from hundreds of points were logically pieced together to create an accurate image of the treasure block. This not only represented a breakthrough in archaeology, but also showcased the ability to integrate modern technology into heritage preservation. Once brought to the surface, the enormous gold ore block was not sent to a museum or refined. Instead, experts decided to leave it in place at the park, right at the entrance of the scenic area, as part of the living cultural heritage. A layer of golden powder paint was applied to the surface to enhance its aesthetic value and protect it from the elements. Interestingly, despite its enormous material value, no one has attempted to steal it. The practical reason for this is simple. The ore block weighs up to 99,208 pounds, making it impossible to move without specialized equipment, and the entire area is equipped with 24/7 surveillance cameras. For many, the value of the gold ore lies not only in the precious metals, but also in its profound cultural significance. It symbolizes history, represents the existence and development of ancient mining civilizations, and serves as a reminder of the natural treasures that humanity must cherish. Thanks to this discovery, Suicheng Park is no longer just a place for sightseeing. It has become a living part of history, a place where the present and the past converge in an unprecedented gold-encrusted rock. If you have the chance, be sure to visit and witness it firsthand. The entrance to an ancient temple, sealed for over 3,000 years. In Peru, a team of archaeologists has just uncovered a corridor that has been sealed for over 3,000 years. This corridor, known as the Condor Corridor, is believed to lead to other rooms within a large temple that once belonged to the ancient Chavin culture. The Chavin de Huantar archaeological site, located about 190 miles northeast of Lima, was once an important center for the Chavin culture, which flourished from around 1500 to 550 BC. The Chavin civilization is famous for its impressive artwork, often depicting images of birds and jaguars. These ancient people lived in the northern Andean highlands of Peru thousands of years before the rise of the Inca Empire. Recently, archaeologists have focused on a corridor in the southern part of the temple. This specific area had been sealed off because it was considered less significant than other parts of the site. However, the recent discovery has provided valuable insight into the early stages of the Chavin civilization. Archaeologist John Rick stated that the artifacts found there had been frozen in time. Within the corridor, the research team uncovered an important artifact, a large ceramic piece weighing around 37.5 pounds. This piece is decorated with the head and wings of an Andean condor or Andean vulture, a significant symbol in the ancient Andean culture. Additionally, they found a ceramic bowl. In the Andean civilization, the Andean condor or Andean vulture carried great symbolism, associated with power and prosperity. The term Chavin itself comes from the Quechua word Chopin, meaning center, emphasizing its importance to the indigenous communities of that time. The 1,800-year-old tomb of the warrior who died twice. In the peaceful fields of rural England, where an ancient Roman villa once stood, archaeologists stumbled upon a strange tomb, and its mystery still baffles researchers to this day. This tomb is not only the remnant of a person who lived nearly 2 millennia ago, but also carries unanswered questions about beliefs, burial rituals, and even ancient fears regarding the return of the dead. The person buried here was a young man, approximately 21 to 25 years old, placed in a carefully constructed stone tomb, an uncommon practice for ordinary people in Roman society at that time. Beside him were a sword and a silver pin, two items that clearly indicate his status as a warrior or a person of high rank in the military. The warrior's cloak, which he wore when he died, further confirms that he was once highly respected in society. However, his face-down burial position quickly contradicted initial assumptions. Unlike 3 other contemporaneous tombs found nearby, where the deceased were laid on their backs according to traditional Roman burial rites, this man's body was buried in an unusual position. Large nails positioned near his neck, back, and feet served as silent evidence, suggesting that he may have been tightly bound, possibly even executed just before his death. Based on the condition of his bones and teeth, experts also discovered that he had suffered from a severe ear infection, something that might have killed him, or at least weakened him, possibly causing him to lose his social standing. Dr. Evan Chapman, the lead archaeologist from the Amgueddfa Cymru Museum in Wales, stated that the manner of his burial led them to believe that he had undergone two deaths, one physical and one spiritual, when his soul was sealed according to ancient beliefs. The nails and the face-down position might have been a ritual to prevent the deceased from rising again, a form of exorcism common in ancient folk beliefs meant to protect the community from spirits thought to be restless or vengeful. However, what puzzled the archaeologists was that despite being treated as a spiritual threat, he was still buried with a sword and valuable items, as though those who buried him both feared and respected him. It was a strange contradiction between honor and terror. They did not dispose of his body, did not burn it, nor dishonor it like they would a traitor. Instead, they constructed a tomb for him, carefully and respectfully, but simultaneously sealed him forever beneath layers of earth and stone, as if trying to prevent something from escaping control. 12. Dragons beneath the water. It all began in May 1977, when the Sixian County in Nanyang City, Henan Province, unexpectedly experienced a severe, unprecedented drought. The ground cracked, trees withered, and rivers ran dry. By October of that year, the water level of the Danjiangkou Reservoir had dropped significantly, unveiling an astonishing sight. The Longshan mountain slopes, which had been submerged for years, rose above the dry lake bed. It was there that a group of children from the village of Xiazi, while playing, heard strange sounds and discovered a deep hole that had mysteriously appeared. Inside, a dim light reflected off numerous pottery vessels, but fear made the children only report it to the adults. The villagers gathered, both curious and hopeful to find something valuable. However, the village chief, Liu, who was committed to preserving heritage, quickly cordoned off the site and reported it to the county's cultural center. From there, an arduous excavation journey began, led by Mr. Zhang Xian, an experienced archaeologist, and his team. The excavation faced many obstacles as the water level of the lake continually fluctuated, washing away their efforts. The archaeological team decided to change tactics, focusing on large tombs with valuable artifacts first. Many times they had to risk diving deep into the lake, confronting danger to not miss this historic opportunity. After a year of persistent work, their efforts paid off. They discovered tens of thousands of artifacts from the Zhou dynasty, dating back to the spring and autumn period, all located within the Longcheng tomb complex, a treasure buried for over a millennium. Among these, Tomb A2 contained the most remarkable treasures, nearly 7,000 pieces of jade, musical instruments, chariots, weapons, and ritual items. But the most shocking discovery was the 12 dragons made of bronze, unique artifacts lying beneath layers of mud and water. Unfortunately, most of them had been broken, likely by tomb robbers from the Han dynasty who, unable to steal them, sought to destroy them instead. After examination, experts determined that the 12 dragons were once part of a rare wine-drinking table cast from bronze, an alloy reserved only for the nobility. Wang Changqing, a renowned restoration expert from Henan Province, took on the monumental task of reviving this damaged treasure. At over 60 years old, he, along with an assistant, spent over 1,000 days and nights working through 26 complex stages to restore the table. When the masterpiece was completed in early 1984, the world was astonished. The table, named Cloud Pattern Bronze Banquet Table, is considered a living proof of a lost technique of three-dimensional wax casting that had been forgotten for over a millennium. This table is not only of great artistic value, but also a historical testament, pushing back the origins of wax casting techniques from the Tang dynasty to the spring and autumn period. The table stands 11.3 inches tall, is over 3 feet long, and weighs more than 200 pounds. It was designed with 12 dragons circling it, each one with its own majestic form, representing the supreme power of the ancient state of Chu. After studying the inscriptions on the table, archaeologists identified it as a burial item for Zi Qing, a powerful prime minister during the reign of King Kang of Chu. The value of the cloud pattern, bronze banquet table, is incalculable. In 2002, the Chinese Cultural Heritage Administration placed it on the list of 64 national treasures that are prohibited from being displayed abroad. According to experts, the value of this table could exceed 10 billion yuan. It's not just an artifact, but a living treasure of history, technology, and the spirit of a glorious dynasty buried in the flow of time. The haunted temple emerges from the sea. Imagine a typical morning on the picturesque Pozzuoli beach in the Campania region of Italy, where the calm waters seem to conceal a secret that has been forgotten for 2 millennia. Then, from the depths of the sea, the past rises in an unexpected way. Pristine white marble slabs, remarkably sharp and detailed, suddenly emerge from the sandy seabed, revealing traces of an ancient temple, once a sacred center of a kingdom that has disappeared from the world map, the Nabatean Kingdom. According to an official announcement from Italy's Minister of Civil Protection and Maritime Policy, Nello Musumeci, alongside Minister of Culture Gennaro Sangiuliano, 2 marble altars discovered off the coast of Pozzuoli are not just priceless archaeological artifacts, but also keys to unlocking the past of a civilization once rivaling the mighty Roman Empire. These altars, dating back to the early 1st century AD, have been confirmed as part of a Nabatean temple complex, an elaborate architectural structure once dedicated to the god Dusares, the protector of the land. What makes this discovery extraordinary is that the temple no longer exists above ground. Instead, it lies silently at the bottom of the sea in the heart of ancient Pozzuoli, or Puteoli, once one of the busiest trade ports of the Roman Empire. Experts believe that over thousands of years, the area was gradually lowered due to seismic activity and volcanic eruptions in the Phlegraean Peninsula, eventually sinking below sea level. However, despite being submerged, the remnants of the temple still retain their grandeur, like a sleeping treasure beneath the ocean. The image of the marble altars, published for the world to see, astonished archaeologists. They were white as snow, and the intricate carvings were still remarkably sharp after over 2,000 years. Minister Sangiuliano described the find as another treasure of Puteoli, not only because of its beauty, but also because it helps pinpoint the exact location of the haunted temple and opens up the possibility of further exploring other submerged structures, such as the ancient harbor, old roads, and even royal palaces beneath the sea. The Nabatean Kingdom, with its famous capital Petra, featured in several blockbuster films, was a unique civilization known for its exceptional construction techniques, stunning rock carvings, and a vast trade network stretching from the Euphrates to the Red Sea. At its peak, the Nabateans were not only allies, but also a strong wall between Rome and the desert tribes. Thus, every time a relic related to the Nabateans is discovered, it vividly brings to life ancient Mediterranean history in more detail. Dogu, Japan's longest-standing mystery. Have you ever wondered, before humans knew how to write or record history through language, what did they think, believe in, and how did they express their faith? What remains from the past, a broken pot, a bone fragment, or a small clay figure, might just be the key to unlocking the spiritual world of our ancestors. Among the most mysterious artifacts ever discovered, one cannot overlook the dogu, small clay statues from prehistoric Japan that have existed as an unsolved mystery for thousands of years. Dogu, meaning clay figure, appeared during the late Jomon period, a remarkable era lasting from around 14,000 to 300 BC. For thousands of years, when the Japanese lived by hunting and gathering and later transitioned to a settled agricultural lifestyle, they created these strange little figures. Measuring only between 4 to 12 inches, dogu are human-like in shape, mostly resembling women, with large round eyes, small waists, wide hips, and often pregnant bellies. But what compelled them to shape these forms? We have few clues to understand the true purpose of dogu. Writing in Japan didn't emerge until the 6th century AD, thousands of years after the dogu had disappeared from history. This leaves every hypothesis today as speculation based on the statue's form and archaeological context. Perhaps they were symbols of fertility, ritual items for praying, or tools used by shamans in religious ceremonies. Some scholars even link dogu to Neolithic mother goddess statues like the Venus of Willendorf, common symbols of belief in fertility and rebirth. Even more fascinating, dogu are not uniform in shape but fall into 4 main styles: pregnant women, horned owl figures, squinted eye types, and those with heart-shaped or crescent-shaped eyebrows. Among these, the squinted eye type, or shakoki dogu, stands out so much that it has become the most recognizable image when people refer to dogu. The name Shikoki means light-blocking device because the round eyes resemble the protective goggles worn by Eskimos. This image is so strange that there have even been theories suggesting that Dogu might represent extraterrestrial beings. While this theory sounds far-fetched, in the absence of written records to confirm what is true, every possibility deserves consideration. What makes Dogu even more enigmatic is not just their appearance, but how they were discovered. Very few Dogu remain intact. Most are broken, arms missing, legs severed, heads lost, and what's more, many show signs of deliberate damage. Could this have been part of a ritual, a form of sacrifice after fulfilling its spiritual function? So, what are Dogu? Are they representations of deities, protective charms for women, or simply prehistoric toys? We may never know the exact answer, but it is precisely this mystery that makes Dogu a living symbol of the past. Each small statue a piece of the puzzle buried under the dust of time. And every time a Dogu is unearthed, humanity gets one step closer to answering the eternal question, who are we and where do we come from? Archaeologists open China's largest 2,500-year-old tomb, and what they find shocks them. 5 decades ago, China made a groundbreaking archaeological discovery that shocked the world. A series of relics that set many different records were found in a water tomb nearly 2,500 years old. The history of a small kingdom from the Warring States period was brought to light after being buried underground for 1,000 years. Specifically, in the late 1970s, Chinese archaeologists unexpectedly discovered an ancient tomb near the ancient city of Sui Prefecture, the hometown of the legendary Emperor Yan, the god of agriculture in Hubei Province, China. That year, when the Chinese army was clearing a mountain to build barracks at the site of the Lei Gu Wen area, they unexpectedly discovered signs of an ancient tomb. The color and soil structure were different from the surrounding areas. Experts immediately arrived at the scene. The archaeological team had to move nearly 50 large stones and a thick layer of peat to access the tomb, which covered an area of 2,370 square feet, was 42.5 feet deep, and was filled with water. After conducting an initial survey, the experts determined that this was the tomb of Zhang Ho Yi, also known as Ji Yi, the king of the Zhang Kingdom, a vassal state under the Zhou dynasty during the early Warring States period in Chinese history. This news quickly sent shockwaves through the archaeological community and China at large for several reasons. First, the discovery of an emperor's tomb was of immense archaeological value. Second, inside this vast tomb, several hundred feet underground, were countless unparalleled relics in the history of the country. As the owner of the tomb, Zhang Ho Yi attracted tremendous attention from tomb enthusiasts, despite the lack of historical records about this figure. The small Zhang kingdom thus became famous worldwide after nearly 2,500 years of being forgotten by time. It can be said that the discovery of Zhang Ho Yi's tomb is one of the most crucial archaeological finds in China. So, what unique treasures were found inside this 1,000-year-old water tomb? First, there is the 7-ton coffin, the heaviest in the world, surrounded by the remains of 21 beautiful women. After draining the water from the tomb, the team of experts worked day and night to clean the interior, as it was filled with peat on all sides. After removing over 68,000 pounds of peat from above the main coffin, the team found a large wooden coffin weighing 7 tons at the center, exquisitely crafted and well-preserved despite being over 1,000 years old. The person inside the coffin was the owner of this extravagant tomb, Zhang Ho Yi, who passed away at the age of 45. To this day, this is the heaviest ancient coffin ever found in the world. Not only that, but around the main coffin were a total of 21 smaller coffins. The remains inside were all female, aged between 13 and 24. Archaeologists believe these 21 women were likely beautiful dancers who served the king during his life. After the king's death, they were sacrificed to accompany him in the afterlife. Next, there is the orphan treasure, a relic that even modern technology cannot replicate. After the discovery of the 7-ton coffin, a large team of Chinese archaeologists focused on finding other artifacts inside the tomb. After months of work, they uncovered approximately 15,404 artifacts of various sizes, materials, and shapes. Among these, over 6,200 were made of bronze. The most remarkable of these was a bronze drum stand, about 20 inches tall and weighing nearly 440 pounds. Upon seeing this treasure, modern Chinese craftsmen were astonished at the exceptional skill of the ancient artisans from 2,500 years ago. One expert from the Zhanghu Yi tomb excavation even exclaimed, "I am completely amazed and in awe of the exceptional craftsmanship of ancient sculptors. This bronze drum stand is the only one of its kind in the world, and even advanced technology cannot replicate, imitate, or counterfeit this marvelous cultural artifact." This bronze drum stand was an essential part of the drum, a popular musical instrument in the Zhang kingdom. The drum was made up of three parts: the drum, the stand, and the drum base. The base was especially valued by ancient craftsmen. The treasures in the tomb of Zhanghu Yi include many dragon statues, with 16 large dragons and dozens of smaller ones. Though made of bronze, these hundreds of dragons appear lifelike, evoking a mystical sensation and attracting viewers. They are exquisitely detailed and complex to perfection, considered the highest treasures of ancient bronze crafting. What confuses experts is that they do not know exactly how many dragons there are, as all the dragon statues on the drum stand are entwined and climbing upwards in a proud pose. This is why it is impossible to replicate these treasures. Because they cannot be copied, the Zhanghu Yi drum stand is regarded as a one-of-a-kind orphan treasure in the world. Lastly, the bronze relic that showcases the highest level of craftsmanship of ancient Chinese artisans is the bronze bell set of Zhanghu Yi. Experts believe this is the most complete and largest set of bronze bells ever discovered in China. In 2018, the CPPCC Museum of Culture and History, China, published an article by the director of the Hubei Provincial Archaeological Society, commemorating the 40th anniversary of the discovery of this groundbreaking tomb complex. The article described the discovery of this rare set of bronze bells. The bell set was placed in the western part of the middle room of the tomb. The bell frame was divided into three levels: top, middle, and bottom. The topmost level was divided into three stands, all of which held small bells, a total of 19. The middle stand was supported by three bronze warriors with 33 medium-sized bells. Even rarer were the 13 large bells on the bottom level, which were still hanging on the frame and supported by three other bronze warriors. The hardest to retrieve were the large bells on the bottom level. Most of them weighed over 220 pounds, with some weighing more than 440 pounds and measuring 5 feet high. The size alone was astonishing. The fine details on the bells, along with the inscriptions, made historians marvel at the skill of the ancient artisans. Everything was crafted with great precision. The sound of the bells, deep and resonant, is so unique that it is nearly impossible to replicate. Therefore, this bronze bell set can be considered the pinnacle of bronze musical instruments from the Warring States period, and it is regarded as a national treasure by China. In addition to the thousands of bronze relics, the tomb of Zhanghu Yi also contained a vast array of weapons. Over 4,000 arrowheads were discovered. This is the highest number of arrowheads ever excavated from a tomb in China. There were also other main weapons, including swords, spears, halberds, and bows. The discovery of this tomb is of great significance for studying the history of the pre-Qin period. The history of military weapons, ancient rituals, and various bronze casting techniques in this tomb has become clearer than ever before. In terms of art and craftsmanship, there are outstanding works of sculpture, modeling, painting, and carving, some of which have set precedents for future generations of artists. The harvest is so immense it is impossible to list everything. But my friends, this is not the only discovery I want to share with you. In recent years, archaeologists have made countless discoveries that carry deep historical significance, along with many secrets hidden behind them. So, what are these discoveries? Let's continue and explore more in the next part of this video. The Forgotten Church, nearly 1,000 years ago. In 1066, under the banner of Duke William of Normandy, later known as William the Conqueror, thousands of warriors from Normandy, Brittany, Flanders, and France landed in England. In the pivotal Battle of Hastings, they defeated King Harold II's army, marking the start of a completely new era. After this victory, William quickly took control of the southeast of England, seizing Dover, Winchester, and advancing straight to London. By Christmas of that year, he was officially crowned as the first king of the Norman dynasty in England. However, what the Normans brought was not just a political overhaul. Under their rule, the entire social structure, legal system, and land ownership of England were rewritten. They built imposing fortresses, implemented Norman law, and left an enduring mark that remains to this day. During his territorial expansion, William passed through a remote area in the parish of Stoke. Here, about half a mile from the main village, stood a solitary church called St. Mary's. Built around 1080, this church was located in a low-lying area, surrounded only by desolate fields. Over the centuries, the church was gradually forgotten, and when a new church was built in a more accessible location in the 19th century, St. Mary's fell into ruin, eventually being demolished, marking the end of a chapter in history that seemed to be closed forever. Yet, nearly a millennium later, the fate of this church took a sudden turn. When the UK government began its HS2 high-speed rail project through the area, they unknowingly uncovered a historical treasure trove. A team of archaeologists led by Dr. Rachel Wood began excavating the site that had once been the foundation of St. Mary's Church and discovered thousands of ancient graves, along with numerous artifacts from various periods. These findings weren't limited to the Norman era. As they dug deeper, archaeologists uncovered the remnants of an Anglo-Saxon church, built before the Normans ever arrived. Evidence from the Bronze and Iron Ages, as well as traces of Roman activity, were also found, proving that this area had long been an important cultural crossroads over the centuries. Among the most striking discoveries were square flint walls, about 1 meter wide, surrounded by a circular ditch. This design closely resembles that of another Saxon church still standing in Barton-upon-Humber, near the Humber estuary, further emphasizing the sacred and ancient nature of the site. In September 2021, Dr. Wood shared that the remains of the church, including the stone walls and floor, will help us better understand the period before the Norman church was built in 1080. She affirmed that this is a rare opportunity for archaeologists to access direct evidence from the pre-Norman era, a period that has rarely been fully documented in historical records. And if you think the story ends there, prepare yourself. During the excavation, they also discovered the shoulders and heads of 2 life-sized Roman busts buried in a dark-colored urn, along with several cremation urns, an intricately crafted glass vessel, and particularly a decapitated skeleton bearing signs of brutal torture before death. What has been revealed from the ground in Stoke not only revives a forgotten past, but also raises new questions about England's pre-medieval history. And the biggest question is, how many more secrets are waiting to be uncovered right beneath our feet? Perhaps we'll never know, but hopefully in the future, archaeologists will reveal even more of these hidden truths. Prehistoric woman's skeleton at the heart of ancient Rome. In the very heart of ancient Roman civilization, a place where the sound of generals' horses once echoed and where speeches changed the course of world history, an ancient secret has suddenly surfaced from the earth. And the most surprising part? This secret predates the founding of Rome itself. During an excavation in the Roman Forum, still considered the symbol of the power of the ancient Roman Empire, Italian archaeologists discovered the nearly complete skeleton of a woman believed to have been buried there over 3,000 years ago. This discovery immediately shocked the archaeological community, not only because of the ancient age of the bones, but also because they date back at least 300 years before Rome was officially founded in 753 BCE. For decades, researchers have suspected that the land where the Romans later built their great capital was inhabited as far back as the Bronze Age. However, concrete evidence has been incredibly rare. This discovery is a crucial piece of evidence that sheds light on the prehistoric period of the area and unveils a society that existed long before the mighty empire we admire today. Anna DeSantis, one of the archaeologists involved in the excavation, stated that the woman likely died around the age of 30. The items found alongside the skeleton suggest that she was no ordinary person. An amber necklace with a gold pendant, an intricately designed copper hairpin, and a copper ring on her finger. 4 small copper hooks, perhaps used to fasten a burial shroud, were also found around the burial site. These details suggest that she may have been a member of the aristocracy, or at least a person of high status in society at the time. What is particularly significant is that this woman was buried, rather than cremated, a custom that goes against the prevalent burial practices of ancient Italian residents. Traditionally, the ancestors of the Romans would cremate the body, store the ashes in ceramic urns, and place them in sacred locations. The burial of this woman in such a unique manner not only highlights the distinct cultural practices of the prehistoric period, but also marks a transitional phase in burial customs, from cremation to interment. Archaeologists were especially thrilled to realize that this ancient gravesite was not far from the location where Julius Caesar was cremated nearly 1,000 years later after his infamous assassination in the Roman Senate. The timing, location, and burial method all seem to silently link two distinct periods: an unnamed ancient civilization and a mighty empire that changed the course of human history. This discovery is not just the finding of a skeleton buried for 3,000 years. It is a whisper from the past, reminding us that the history of Rome, though studied for centuries, still holds many undiscovered secrets. And sometimes, all it takes is the turning of the soil at the right spot for an entire forgotten chapter of history to come alive once more. Pre-Inca baby mummy in Peru. A mummy, not of a king, warrior, or leader, but of a child, has rested for over a millennium beneath the earth, now brought to light at the very heart of the once thriving South American civilization. We are talking about the Puruchuco archaeological site, located in Lima, Peru, an ancient burial ground from the Inca period, considered one of the largest burial sites ever discovered in South America. However, the surprising part is that the recently discovered baby mummy does not belong to the Inca period, but dates much earlier, opening up fascinating hypotheses about the pre-Inca cultures that once thrived in this area. This astonishing discovery occurred not during a large-scale archaeological dig, but rather during a topographical survey for the construction of a new road by the Peruvian government. Beneath the arid soil, where generations of ancient people once walked, archaeologists stumbled upon a gateway to history. They found not just one, but dozens of mummies, contained within a complex of 26 tombs, including both adults and children. These tombs were carefully arranged, as if someone had poured both love and religious faith into every layer of earth covering them. Guillermo Koch, one of the leading archaeologists on the project, reported that 40 mummies have now been discovered, with more expected to be uncovered as further excavations continue. Remarkably, despite being over 1,000 years old, many of the mummies are still in excellent condition, a testament to the sophisticated mummification techniques of ancient Peruvian cultures. He emphasized that only 10% of the Puruchuco site has been excavated in the past 60 years, yet over 2,000 mummies, hundreds of intricately woven textiles, ancient ceramics, and even coins made of copper, silver, and gold have been found. This raises an intriguing question: how many more secrets lie deep beneath that silent soil? The recently discovered baby mummy has been transferred to a museum for preservation and in-depth study. Experts hope that, from this small set of remains, they can learn more about life, customs, beliefs, and death in this ancient society. In recent years, Peru has become a hotspot for archaeology, with thousands of mummies uncovered. One of the most famous discoveries is the Juanita Ice Maiden, the mummy of a young girl found at the peak of a mountain, frozen in the cold ice and snow. She is believed to have been sacrificed in a religious ceremony and is so well preserved that one of her eyes remains intact, leaving scientists in awe of the mummification techniques used more than 500 years ago. The mummy of an Egyptian girl adorned with jewelry. In a dramatic excavation under the scorching sun of Egypt, Miriam Siko and her team of archaeologists made a miraculous discovery hidden deep within the earth. This site is located in an ancient burial ground beneath the mysterious temple of Pharaoh Thutmose III on the western bank of the Nile River in the city of Luxor. What the scientists found was not only a rare discovery, but also a breakthrough in unraveling the mysteries of ancient civilization. Buried around 4,000 years ago, the mummy of a woman, though damaged, still bore many marks of the glory from her life before death. Through scientific analysis, experts determined that this woman was about 30 years old when she lived, belonged to a high social class, and likely lived between 2137 and 1781 BCE. This was the golden age of ancient Egyptian civilization, where individuals of noble blood and high status were typically buried in cemeteries near grand temples like the Temple of Thutmose III. One of the most striking aspects of this discovery is that the mummy and her wooden sarcophagus have been preserved almost intact, despite being beneath a collapsed roof for thousands of years. The collapsed roof helped protect her jewelry and belongings from being stolen, an extraordinary circumstance, as many valuable artifacts in Egypt have been plundered over time. Notably, the necklace adorned with precious gems and exquisite gold pieces left the archaeological community in awe. Not only the necklace, but the sarcophagus also contained other treasures, such as 2 gold bracelets made from 2 twisted pieces of metal, along with a silver ankle bracelet. The gold items were intricately crafted, displaying the wealth and high status of this woman. Although the anklets had worn over time, the gold pendant and bracelets have remained remarkably well preserved, offering a clear example of the fine craftsmanship of ancient Egyptian jewelers. Researchers believe this burial site could have been a special cemetery for high-ranking officials and wealthy individuals in ancient Egyptian society. These findings reinforce the idea that beneath the temple of Thutmose III, there was not only a sacred place of worship, but also the final resting place for influential members of society who played significant roles in the prosperity of the Egyptian empire. The presence of such treasures suggests that this woman may have held a very special position in society. What remains of her is not only an artifact, but also a story of a bygone golden age, still preserved beneath the earth and in the hearts of those passionate about archaeology. If I were to say that this discovery opens a door to exploring the history of ancient Egypt and serves as a testament to the durability of cultural heritage, which has endured through millennia to tell the stories of those who once lived under the skies of this glorious civilization, it would not be an exaggeration, would it? 3,000-year-old gold mask in China. When we think of ancient civilizations, many might immediately recall famous wonders like the Egyptian pyramids or the Greek temples. However, few are aware that one of the most significant archaeological discoveries in the world is currently unfolding in China, at a site known as Sanxingdui, located in the southwestern part of the country. Recently, a gold mask over 3,000 years old was uncovered, attracting the attention of archaeologists and history enthusiasts alike. This gold mask was found among hundreds of artifacts in the sacrificial pit at the Sanxingdui ruins in Sichuan province. This famous archaeological site, located not far from Chengdu, has witnessed many incredible discoveries throughout decades of excavation. The gold mask is not only a priceless artifact, but also an important piece in understanding the ancient Shu civilization. According to the Sichuan Provincial Cultural Heritage Bureau, the mask was discovered in June 2024, but the information was only publicly released in early September. Weighing about 3.5 ounces, the mask is exquisitely crafted and was initially believed to be an independent object. However, further analysis revealed that it was likely part of a larger bronze head, not a standalone item as originally thought. This discovery has sparked intriguing speculations about the mask's role in ancient religious ceremonies. Researchers believe this golden mask dates back to the late Shang dynasty, which lasted until 1046 BCE, a golden period in Chinese history. This discovery is not only a major step forward in uncovering the ancient civilization, but also a testament to the creativity and sophistication of ancient Chinese craftsmanship in making ritualistic objects. In addition to the gold mask, archaeologists found a series of other valuable artifacts, including ivory items, a jade dagger, ceremonial vessels known as zun, and numerous small bronze statues. These artifacts hold immense historical value, offering specialists a deeper insight into the cultural and religious life of the people during that era. The Sanxingdui site is no stranger to archaeologists. In the 1980s, excavators uncovered 2 ritual pits containing over 1,000 items, including exquisitely crafted bronze masks. After a long hiatus in excavations, a series of new pits were discovered at the end of 2019, leading to unexpected finds in 2020. These pits are believed to have been sites for ritual ceremonies where items were burned and buried in special rites. What is particularly remarkable about these recent discoveries is that they not only shed light on the cultural values of the time, but also confirm the extraordinary imagination and creativity of the ancient Chinese. As Tang Fei, director of the Sichuan Provincial Institute of Cultural Relics and Archaeology, stated, "These discoveries prove that the imagination and creativity of ancient Chinese people exceeded anything we could have imagined today." Today, Sanxingdui is not just an important archaeological site, but also a fascinating destination for those passionate about exploring history. Although it has yet to be recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, it has been placed on the tentative list and has the potential to become one of the most prominent archaeological sites in the world in the future. With continuous new discoveries, Sanxingdui is gradually revealing the precious secrets of the ancient Shu civilization. a brilliant civilization that remains largely unknown to many. Every artifact, every relic found here is not just a mark of the past, but an endless source of inspiration for future discoveries on the journey to understand human history. The 2,000-year-old pizza painting in Pompeii. When we think of pizza, most of us immediately associate it with a modern fast food, popular in today's society. But have you ever considered that pizza might have existed over 2,000 years ago? A recent discovery at Pompeii has astonished archaeologists and completely changed our understanding of the origins of this beloved dish. Specifically, while excavating in the Regio 9 area, one of the most upscale parts of Pompeii, archaeologists uncovered an ancient fresco depicting a special dining scene. What's surprising is that on the table in this vivid and complete scene, there appears to be a dish that we can't help but associate with pizza. But don't rush to imagine the pizzas with cheese and toppings that we know today, as this dish had a very different appearance, resembling a flatbread made with ingredients of the time, prepared in a creative way by the people of Pompeii. This discovery is truly shocking because, until now, pizza was thought to be a medieval dish in Italy, with origins in flatbreads. However, the presence of the ancestor of pizza in this fresco suggests that the idea of a quick meal like pizza may have existed much earlier, possibly even during ancient Roman times. This raises the question, does the pizza we know today actually have a longer history than we ever imagined? According to Gabriel Zuchtriegel, director of the Pompeii Archaeological Park, this fresco is not simply a depiction of a meal, but also reflects part of the Greek tradition of hospitality, a theme that was very common in Roman art. The bread depicted in the painting could have been a type of flatbread baked in an oven, very similar to modern dishes we still see today, but modified with ingredients and cooking techniques of the time. The fresco was discovered in a villa that has been excavated since the 19th century, located in the heart of Pompeii. The house was buried under volcanic ash from Mount Vesuvius in 79 CE, but now, with what remains, we can imagine part of the lavish lifestyle of ancient Roman residents. It's fascinating to see that alongside the fresco, archaeologists also found a large oven, proving that preparing and enjoying dishes like pizza might have been part of daily life for the people of Pompeii. Additionally, during the excavation, archaeologists found the remains of 3 unfortunate victims who perished in the volcanic disaster more than 2,000 years ago. But what's even more astonishing is that these findings are not the only ones that have left archaeologists in awe. Previous research at Pompeii has revealed many timeless features, such as roads with sophisticated repair techniques similar to modern-day streets, fine architectural structures with amenities almost like those of the 21st century, and even a takeaway food stall in the city center. Pompeii has always been a treasure trove for archaeologists, not only because of discoveries about Roman culture and daily life, but also for the elements that go beyond our imagination of the past. And now, with the discovery of this ancient pizza, we must once again reconsider the history of food and culinary culture. The mysterious foot-shaped object. Lao Wang, a farmer in Yunnan, China, would go up the mountain every day to dig for medicinal herbs. This time, while digging for ginseng, he suddenly noticed a strange object nearby. Lao Wang felt that its shape seemed unusual. He then used a spade to dig around the object to get a better look. However, when Lao Wang saw what he had uncovered, he was so frightened that he immediately screamed. It turned out that what Lao Wang had dug up was an object that closely resembled a human foot. Lao Wang ran down the mountain and called everyone in the village to come see. After calming down, he called the police to report the situation. A group of police officers, along with the village chief and some brave villagers, went to the spot where Lao Wang had found the foot. To Lao Wang's surprise, after examining the mysterious foot, the officers burst out laughing. It turned out that what Lao Wang had found was not a human foot at all, but a type of tuber that they did not recognize. A plant expert was sent to the scene, and the expert explained that the foot-shaped object was actually a purple yam. According to the expert, the purple yam Lao Wang had found had a very unusual shape. It even looked like a human foot with toes and nails, which is why Lao Wang mistook it for a human foot. Furthermore, the yam was unusually large in size. The expert suggested that Lao Wang was quite lucky to have found such a special yam. He even believed that if Lao Wang sold it in the city, someone would definitely pay a high price for it. Purple yam is a type of vine plant with multiple tubers, scientifically named Dioscorea alata. This plant originates from the tropical regions of Asia and is mostly found in the southern parts of China, Indonesia, Africa, India, and Malaysia. Purple yams are much larger than sweet potatoes. They have a rough outer skin and many roots. The flesh of the purple yam is usually purple, though some varieties may be white or light purple. Purple yam is a plant that thrives in hot, humid conditions. Under natural conditions, the plant produces tubers after 2-3 months. The yam has a sweet, starchy flavor and when cooked becomes soft and smooth like a potato. It is commonly used to make both sweet and savory dishes. Purple yams are a highly nutritious food that provides abundant energy. In particular, purple yam is rich in minerals, antioxidants, and essential vitamins that are beneficial to human health. Not only is purple yam good for the heart, but it also helps with weight loss and obesity. According to experts, eating purple yam helps the body feel full for longer. The mysterious tomb of an aristocrat from the Tang dynasty in China. Archaeologists in Shanxi province, China, made a remarkable discovery when they unearthed an ancient tomb from the Tang dynasty, 618 to 907 AD. This discovery is not only a historical breakthrough, but also a journey that opens up fascinating stories about art, beliefs, and the lives of people during one of China's golden eras. After several years of excavation, archaeologists have started to reveal some of the mysteries hidden in this tomb. The first thing that astonished them was the entrance gate to the tomb complex, which was decorated with spiral plant motifs, typical of Tang dynasty art. These intricate details not only demonstrated meticulous craftsmanship, but also reflected the beliefs of that time, showcasing a fusion of nature and contemporary culture. Alongside the gate, a pair of statues, cloaked in robes and standing majestically, were likely guardians of the tomb, symbolizing the presence of the spiritual world and supernatural powers. As they ventured further inside, the archaeologists uncovered a passage leading to the main burial chamber. Notably, the ceiling of this passage was conical in shape and adorned with depictions of 4 mythical creatures from Chinese mythology, including a dragon, symbolizing supreme power, and a phoenix, representing rebirth and prosperity. These images were not only symbolic, but also reflected the deep spiritual values of Tang China. Upon entering the main burial chamber, the archaeologists were once again astonished by the exquisite walls. On these walls were vivid murals that depicted various aspects of daily life, from scenes of people strolling through peaceful rural landscapes to lush green treetops above. This is the characteristic tree-based style of the Tang dynasty, a form of art that emphasized naturalism and harmony with the environment. These murals were not just beautiful works of art, but also narratives about humans and their relationship with nature and the universe. What made this tomb even more enigmatic was the use of bright colors in the paintings. White, red, yellow, black, green, and orange not only brought the images on the walls and ceiling to life, but also demonstrated the advanced painting techniques of the Tang era. These colors were not just for aesthetic purposes. They may also have symbolized natural and cosmic elements, signifying the intersection of the earthly and spiritual worlds. Although the tomb has been dated to the 8th century, the identity of its occupant remains a great mystery. Some hypotheses suggest that this might be the tomb of a significant figure from the Tang dynasty. In fact, some researchers speculate that the artist who created these murals might have been the same person who decorated the tomb of Shen Jun, the founding emperor of the Min dynasty during the 5 Dynasties and 10 Kingdoms period. This only adds to the mystery of the tomb and has attracted considerable attention from archaeologists and history enthusiasts. This ancient tomb is not only a vibrant testament to the cultural and artistic development of Tang China, but also a treasure trove of mysteries related to the people, life, and beliefs of more than 1,000 years ago. It is clear that these discoveries are one of the clearest pieces of evidence that open the door for us to understand more about this glorious period in history. What do you think about these findings? Feel free to leave your comments below. 6,000-year-old desert fortress. Have you ever thought that in the arid, desolate desert of Jordan, a place where life seems nearly impossible, there once existed a brilliant civilization so advanced that it would astonish the world today? It's hard to imagine, right? But this story is absolutely true. Recently, archaeologists discovered a massive fortress that is 6,000 years old, hidden beneath the scorching sands of the Jordanian desert. The existence of this monumental structure has raised numerous puzzling questions for the scientific community. Why was a fortress built in a place where life seems impossible? Who were the people who lived here, and how did they manage to survive in such a harsh environment? The fortress shows no signs of war, nor any indication that a large conflict ever took place. Instead, what has been uncovered paints a very different picture. A peaceful yet highly advanced community, with technical and intellectual abilities far ahead of their time. Researchers found an intricate system of water channels, dams, and irrigation, a remarkable feat for an area that is now so dry that almost no water exists throughout the year. These ancient people used porous volcanic rock to store water, and they built wells around wadis, dry riverbeds that only contain water during the rainy season, to create a sustainable water supply for daily life and agriculture. Their agricultural techniques were so sophisticated that they are awe-inspiring. They directed rainwater to elevated gardens, utilizing silt and sediment to fertilize the crops. The remnants show that they not only farmed and raised livestock, primarily goats and sheep, to meet their own needs, but they also engaged in trade and exchanged goods with other settlements. What's even more impressive is that they were involved in the textile and garment industry, a field typically associated with much more advanced societies. Wool fibers, leather, even cheese and salted meat all were produced here. By the mid-4th millennium BCE, the Mesopotamian region, which includes modern-day northern Iraq, was the world's first textile production center, and the fortress in the Jordanian desert seems to have been part of this vibrant economic network. Aerial photographs reveal 3 residential areas atop a mountain, with solid stone walls and systematically constructed buildings, evidence that this was an organized community with long-term development plans. So, what caused them to abandon it all and leave? There are no signs of conflict, no evidence that they were forced out. The one clear thing is that they left voluntarily at an undetermined time. Perhaps they realized that living in the desert, no matter how advanced their system was, couldn't support a thriving society forever. A fortress, a civilization, and a multitude of unanswered questions. What truly happened to them? And beneath the dry sands, how many more secrets are waiting to be uncovered? It's hard to say, but this discovery certainly changes our long-held belief that deserts are just endless stretches of sand, with no life to be found. The 1,000-year-old city wall. You've probably heard of the Silk Road, a place where the East and West met, where ancient civilizations exchanged goods, traded, and shared cultural ideas. Recently, archaeologists discovered an extraordinary remnant of a legendary kingdom once located along this vital trade route. The Kingdom of Lulan. Its location today lies in the northeastern part of the Lop Desert in Xinjiang, northwest China, where ancient mysteries are gradually being revealed through meticulous excavations. According to experts from the Xinjiang Autonomous Region Archaeological Institute, the recently discovered city wall is round, with a diameter of up to 984 feet. Although only remnants remain, the foundation of the wall is clearly visible, with a width ranging from 7.2 feet to 8.9 feet. The remaining part of the wall stands at 8.2 feet, providing a clear view of the scale of this once mighty structure. These walls not only serve as evidence of an ancient civilization, but also symbolize the significant development of the Kingdom of Lulan, which played an important role in cross-continental trade along the Silk Road. What is particularly interesting is that archaeologists did not just uncover remnants of the city wall, but also discovered numerous valuable artifacts in nearby tombs. These items included wooden plates, bronze mirrors, wooden combs, and fabrics, precious relics that provide a deeper understanding of the lifestyle and culture of the Lulan people. Notably, through carbon dating, the archaeologists have estimated that the site dates back to the late Eastern Han period, 25 to 220 AD, marking a crucial phase in Chinese history. The Kingdom of Lulan, according to historical records, existed as early as the 2nd century BC and became an important transit point on the Silk Road. However, due to its remote location, surrounded by desert and influenced by factors like water sources and warfare, Lulan had to move its capital several times. In 108 BC, the Han dynasty defeated Lulan and turned it into a vassal state, making the Lulan kingdom a puppet state under the Han Empire. Eventually, Lulan disappeared during the Tang dynasty. The ruins of Lulan were first discovered in 1900 by Swedish explorer Sven Hedin, and the remnants of this kingdom have captured the attention of archaeologists and history enthusiasts alike. Hayden had previously discovered a square wall about 35 miles from the recently uncovered round wall. This suggests that the ruins of Lulan still hold many secrets, and future excavations may bring forth further important discoveries. These excavations have received strong support from the Chinese government, with funding allocated to advance research projects. Artifacts found at the site, such as Han Dynasty coins, tools, and fabrics woven in the Greek and Roman styles, have opened a new window into the cultural exchange between the great civilizations of the ancient world. Once an important part of the Silk Road, the Kingdom of Lulan left us invaluable traces of a golden period in history. From the city walls to the precious artifacts, everything proves that Lulan was not just a trading post, but also a civilization with far-reaching influence. Who knows, perhaps future discoveries will help us learn more about this forgotten era buried beneath the desert sands. Archaeologists opened the tomb of China's most pampered princess. What's inside leaves them in tears. Certainly, when mentioning Qin Shi Huang, the image of a great emperor who founded the Chinese Empire and left an indelible mark on history with monumental works like the Great Wall and the Lingkou Canal, immediately comes to mind. Ascending the throne at age 13, he etched his name into history as the first emperor to unify China and one of the greatest rulers of all time. However, behind his resounding victories and strategic vision lies a story no less tragic and full of suffering. The life of Princess Ying Yinman, the daughter Qin Shi Huang cherished most. She was even dubbed by later generations as the most pampered princess in China. Ying Yinman, the princess adored by her father, lived a life of luxury and opulence. She had no worries about her future. Everything was in the hands of her father, a powerful emperor. But all of this was merely an illusion, for when Qin Shi Huang passed away in 210 BCE, a dark night enveloped Ying Yinman's life. She, along with her siblings, quickly became victims of a bloody power struggle, where the cruelest perpetrators were none other than her own family members. The story gradually unfolded through a shocking archaeological discovery in 1976 when experts excavated an ancient tomb complex at Qinling Mountain in Shanxi, China. Here, researchers uncovered graves containing remains buried in disarray, bearing gruesome and haunting traces of violence. The bodies were dismembered, some with heads severed, others pierced by arrows, or limbs brutally cut off. These signs indicated that the victims had been killed in a savage and ruthless manner, and it was undeniable that those in these tombs were closely tied to the Qin royal family. Particularly, a seal inscribed with the two characters Yangxi found in the tomb opened a new door. This seal proved a crucial fact: the remains in the tomb belonged to Princess Ying Yinman, the beloved daughter of Qin Shi Huang. This was clear evidence of the brutality and the power struggle following her father's death. When Qin Shi Huang died, everything changed completely. Hu Hai, one of Qin Shi Huang's sons, conspired with the eunuch Zhao Gao to seize the throne. They forged an imperial edict and assassinated Crown Prince Fusu, the intended heir, leading to his death. After ascending the throne, Hu Hai relentlessly purged his opponents. His relatives, including his siblings and the princess, could not escape his grasp. Ying Yinman, once the most beloved, also fell victim to this brutality. The deaths of Ying Yinman and her royal siblings were recorded in blood-soaked tales. According to legend, all princes were beheaded at the Xianyang market, while 10 princesses, including Ying Yinman, were dismembered. A horrific massacre took place within the heart of the imperial palace, flooding the place with scenes of death and bloodshed. However, despite seizing the throne, Hu Hai ruled for only 3 years before the court descended into chaos. Betrayal and dark conspiracies led to the collapse of the Qin dynasty. Ultimately, Hu Hai was forced to abdicate and took his own life in disgrace, ending a dynasty filled with highs and tragic lows. The life and death of Princess Ying Yinmen stand as the clearest testament to the cruelty of power and the schemes to seize the throne within the royal family. Despite being cherished, she could not escape the evil brought by those closest to her. The tale of Ying Yinman's love and tragedy, along with her painful death and that of her siblings, left a stain on Chinese history, a reminder of the ruthlessness of power and the dark conspiracies that always lurk within dynasties. Once again, this story reminds us that power can not only build empires, but also destroy everything that is most beautiful. What do you think of this story? Personally, I find this princess truly pitiable. And that's not all. Across the world, countless such tragic stories exist, as evidenced by numerous archaeological discoveries. Now let's continue our journey of exploration to see what other remarkable findings archaeologists have uncovered in recent years. 6,000-year-old burial pit in France, remnants of a massacre? On an ordinary day in the tranquil region of Bergheim, France, archaeologists thought they were conducting a routine excavation, but the earth revealed a story untold for over 6,000 years. An ancient mass burial pit was uncovered, not merely a final resting place for the deceased, but a chilling testament to a bloody tragedy that unfolded in the heart of Neolithic Europe. Within the silent layers of soil, 7 human skeletons were found. 2 men, 1 woman, 4 children, and a partial skull of a newborn infant. Surrounding them were fragmented hand bones, severed arm segments, and signs of a barbaric ritual or attack targeting human hands. Archaeologist Fanny Chanal from the Antia Archaeological Institute in Habsheim was among the first to encounter this gruesome discovery. According to her, the evidence suggests that these individuals did not die naturally, but were likely killed in a skirmish or armed conflict, then hastily buried. Notably, the pit already contained severed left arms, which may hold the key to this mystery. Were the perpetrators collecting left arms as trophies? Or was this a ritualistic act, symbolizing victory or humiliation of their enemies? As the team delved deeper, more peculiarities emerged. All skeletons retained intact arms, except for one male whose skull bore severe trauma, likely from a heavy blow. Strangely, he was the only one missing his left arm. Could his severed arm be among those found? That question remains unanswered. Chanal and her colleagues haven't ruled out the possibility that the left arm was a specific target, perhaps tied to cultural or ritualistic symbolism in prehistoric times. At the pit's base, crushed hand bones suggested not just amputation, but deliberate pulverization, possibly carrying religious significance or serving as a form of punishment. Through carbon dating, experts determined the victims lived around 4000 BCE during the Neolithic period, a time when small farming communities were thought to live relatively peacefully and bury their dead in circular pits. However, the Bergheim discovery shattered this idyllic image, revealing that violence and warfare may have been far more intense than previously imagined. Chanal asserts this is the first evidence that victims of Neolithic conflicts were buried in circular pits, a practice previously undocumented. This find not only stunned the archaeological community, but also raised questions about the true nature of ancient burial pits. Were they repurposed storage silos? Tombs for high-status individuals, accompanied by sacrificial deaths of servants or kin? Another theory suggests they could be graves for slaves, killed as offerings to appease deities. Alongside the remains, small artifacts were found: a shell jewelry piece, a stone spearhead, a pig's jawbone, and 2 wild rabbit skeletons, all hinting at a ritual performed at the site. Remarkably, 3 years earlier, 60 other circular pits were excavated in the same Bergheim area, 13 of which contained human remains or bones. Yet only this pit left a haunting impression, a mirror reflecting a dark chapter of history buried for millennia. Was this a massacre, a religious ritual, or simply the aftermath of a survival struggle? These questions linger unanswered. The skeletons beneath Bergheim's soil seem to whisper their story, and they likely have more to say than we can yet comprehend. Medieval girl burned at the stake as a suspected witch. What would you do if one day, beneath the grounds of an ancient monastery, you uncovered the remains of a young girl, burned, thrown into a pit, and buried under heavy stones? No one knows her name, but the way she was treated speaks volumes. The society of her time believed that even in death, she remained a threat. Yes, this is not a scene from a horror movie. It's a chilling truth unearthed in Italy, a historical mystery that archaeologists and scholars still cannot fully explain. The story begins in Albenga, a quaint coastal town in northern Italy, once a religious hub during the Middle Ages. At the San Calocero archaeological complex, researchers discovered a heavily charred female skeleton, and the terrifying manner of her burial shocked them. There was no ceremony, no coffin, no prayers. She was thrown into a deep pit, her head bent to her chest from the impact, and covered with large stone slabs. The research team believes this was a ritual of suppression, reflecting the belief that even in death, she could return. They didn't want her to rise again, so they sealed her away forever. It's chilling to recall that in 2014 at the same site, Professor Felipe Pergola and his team found another set of remains, a 13-year-old girl buried face down. This was a traditional burial method for those deemed witches, sinners, or cursed. Instead of allowing the deceased soul to rest, people buried them face down to ensure their spirit could never rise. These harsh rituals were not mere symbols. In medieval European folklore, people genuinely believed that without measures like face-down burials, placing bricks in mouths, driving stakes through hearts, or even decapitation, the dead could return. And if they were witches, the consequences would be catastrophic for the entire village. Analysis of the newly discovered remains revealed the girl was about 4 feet 9 inches tall and died between 15 and 17 years old. She suffered severe burns, with soft tissue still present during the burning, suggesting she may have been burned alive or her body was set alight immediately after death. Researchers cannot confirm whether she was alive when the flames engulfed her. What is certain, however, is that she died in agony and was discarded as a taboo. Medically, the girl showed signs of parotid hyperostosis, a condition caused by severe anemia that leads to porous bones, particularly in the skull and eye sockets. She also had scurvy from vitamin C deficiency, weak tooth enamel, and evidence of severe malnutrition. These indicate she lived in extremely harsh conditions. Her frail appearance, pale skin, and visible illness may have branded her as different or demon-possessed. To this day, the girl's true identity remains a mystery. Who was she? Why was she burned? Is there a connection between her and the face-down girl found in 2014? Why, in the same place, did two young girls meet such tragic ends? Does this reflect an era when superstition overpowered reason? Or is it evidence of society's cruel discrimination against the weak, sick, and different? We may never know the full truth, but what is clear is that every bone unearthed tells not only of death, but also whispers of a society so gripped by fear that it was merciless to the innocent. What do you think of this story? Was this girl a victim of superstition or someone who truly terrified others? Don't forget to leave your thoughts below to share with everyone. 800-year-old skeleton contains ghost cells of deadly bacteria. At an ancient cemetery site in Anatolia, Turkey, archaeologists discovered the skeleton of a pregnant woman, estimated to be around 30 years old. At first glance, it appeared to be just another historical artifact among thousands of other archaeological finds. But upon closer inspection, specifically at the lower ribs beneath the chest, researchers noticed strange, never-before-seen nodules. These growths seemed to be the remnants of something painful, something haunting, that had driven the woman's body into despair and ultimately ended her life, and that of her unborn child. What puzzled researchers was that the nodules did not show signs of tuberculosis, a common cause of bone damage in the medieval period. Using radiocarbon dating, the team determined that the nodules were between 790 and 860 years old. The pressing question arose: what had truly killed this woman? And was there any trace of that cause still left in her fragile bones? Dr. Caitlin Pepperell, an epidemiologist at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, sliced the nodules into thin sections for analysis. What she discovered opened a door into genetic history. Within those odd calcium clusters was a shocking revelation: microfossils, so-called ghost cells, from two deadly bacteria, Staphylococcus saprophyticus and Gardnerella vaginalis. One is known for causing urinary tract infections, the other for attacking the fetus directly. This deadly combination had all but sealed the fate of both mother and child during a time when medicine had not yet emerged from the shadows. But the mystery didn't end there. Among the bacterial samples, researchers also found the DNA of a baby boy, precisely the unborn son of the ill-fated woman. Incredibly, the DNA of both the child and the bacteria that killed them remained remarkably intact after nearly a millennium. While typically only about 1% of bacterial DNA can survive after 800 years, this case revealed survival rates of 31% to 58%, a nearly impossible figure unless something extraordinary had protected them. This stunned the scientific community. "There's something fascinating about how the DNA was preserved," Pepperell remarked. "The quality of the genetic data is still very good." What seemed like meaningless nodules turned out to be a time capsule, not only holding the cause of death, but silently telling a story from the other side, of a child who never got to cry his first cry, of a mother who died in loneliness and pain, and of an invisible killer called bacteria, which still quietly lives among us in the modern world. Are you getting chills reading this? I know I am. Not just because of the horrifying truth that has surfaced nearly 1,000 years later, but because of the lingering question it raises. If today's technology can reach so deeply into the mysteries of the past, how many more secrets are still buried beneath layers of earth and stone, waiting to be awakened? And what stories will they tell us? It's haunting, isn't it? One can only wonder what unimaginable suffering those unfortunate souls endured in their time. The shackled skeletons of the ancient Greek coup soldiers. Archaeologists have made another stunning discovery about the past in the Phaleron Delta region of Greece. Specifically, at an ancient cemetery, they unearthed at least 80 skeletons dating from the 5th to the 8th century BC. What made this find particularly fascinating was a strange detail. All the skeletons had their wrists shackled, as if they were victims of a mass execution. But the story behind these deaths is not so simple. The skeletons were not buried hastily or disrespectfully. On the contrary, they were interred with a certain reverence, suggesting that these were not criminals or slaves being punished. So, who were these individuals, and why did they meet such a tragic end? Upon examining the burial arrangements, something unusual became apparent. The skeletons were carefully arranged, with some lying in a straight line, while others were stacked on top of one another, their limbs bent, and their jaws even left wide open. This arrangement was not typical of victims of war or common criminals. These individuals had been cared for in death, and clearly, they were not regarded as outcasts in society. Dr. Stella Chrysoulaki, the lead archaeologist of the excavation, stated that all the victims were executed in the same manner, and most of them were very young. This raises even more questions about their identities. Another intriguing detail is that, despite being deceased, these individuals had relatively good health during their lifetime. They were all young, healthy, and likely in excellent physical condition before meeting their tragic fate. This further supports the theory that these were not criminals or impoverished people abandoned by society. Another sign is that their arms were often raised above their heads, and their wrists tightly bound with iron shackles, suggesting they might have been arrested and executed in an organized manner. These skeletons were found in a vast area of the ancient cemetery, which contains more than 1,500 scattered burials. Notably, many of the remains were of children, buried in ceramic urns, while some adults were interred in stone coffins. All of these remains are located in a large area, where a national opera house and library are also being built, an area that covers more than 169,000 square miles. So, who were the victims of this execution? One hypothesis is that these skeletons might belong to soldiers who supported Cylon, an Athenian nobleman and Olympic champion. Cylon attempted a coup in 632 BC with the help of his father-in-law, the tyrant of Megara. However, after the coup failed, Cylon fled and hid in a temple on the Acropolis, while his supporters were brutally killed. If this hypothesis is correct, the excavation could be the key to understanding one of the bloodiest and most mysterious events in ancient history. To verify this theory, researchers will continue to conduct DNA testing and anthropological studies on the skeletons. This will help determine whether this group of young individuals were indeed warriors in Cylon's coup army. Moreover, using modern research methods, we hope to shed light on the tragic story of these people. Individuals who sacrificed their lives in a brutal manner but may have been forgotten in the pages of history. Could decoding these skeletons help us understand more about ancient Greek history and the bloody, tear-filled events of the past? The answer will undoubtedly remain a great mystery, and the journey to explore this history will certainly bring more surprises. If you are someone who loves to explore and uncover the mysteries of the past, then stay tuned for new discoveries in the next excavations. The 7,000-year-old skeleton, buried in a strange position. You wouldn't believe it, but over 7,000 years ago, a skeleton was buried in an extremely unusual ritual, completely different from what we know about ancient cultures. Recently, archaeologists discovered a 7,000-year-old skeleton in the Mesolithic region of Germany, and what makes this discovery so special is the bizarre burial position of the deceased. A young man was buried standing upright, a position never before recorded in Central European archaeology. The skeleton was found near the village of Gross Freudenwalde in northeastern Germany, and it was placed in a deep vertical pit, with the body of the man fixed upright by a layer of sand that filled the pit from the bottom to his knees. The upper part of the skeleton had been damaged and was no longer intact, but this unusual arrangement still left experts puzzled. Why would someone be buried in such a way? Could there have been a ritual or belief behind this practice in the community at the time? According to Thomas Terberger, the director of the excavation at the Lower Saxony Heritage Department, this could be one of the earliest cemeteries used in Europe during the Mesolithic period. Between approximately 6400 BC and 500 BC, people in this area lived primarily through hunting, gathering, and fishing, and they never stayed in one place for too long. However, they had strong beliefs and special rituals when burying the deceased, proving that death for them was not just an end, but also an important part of the life cycle. This raises a big question. Could the upright burial have been a way to show respect? Or is there a deeper meaning behind it that we have yet to understand? Even more intriguing, this skeleton is the only one found in such an upright burial position in Central Europe. From the arrangement of the bones, researchers speculate that the man may have been placed in a pit more than 4.9 feet deep. Another curious detail is that since the discovery of this archaeological site, experts have excavated 9 other skeletons, including 5 of children over 6 years old and one 8,400-year-old infant skeleton. Notably, the infant's arms were tightly held against its chest, a position that seems to symbolize the protection and care of an adult even after death. These discoveries not only provide insight into how ancient people dealt with death, but also open a new door to understanding the ancient Mesolithic civilization. Although these communities were nomadic and left little trace of permanent settlements, they placed great importance on funeral rituals and burial practices. This suggests that even in a hunting and gathering society, death was respected and could have been a vital part of their connection to the spiritual world. With each new discovery, questions about culture, beliefs, and ancient rituals are reignited. And perhaps these mysteries will continue to challenge our imagination and curiosity on the journey of exploring the past. These skeletons, lying quietly beneath the earth for thousands of years, bring us untold stories about the people who lived and died during that era. What will the next discoveries reveal about how these ancient people lived and viewed death? We can only wait and keep searching, as the journey to explore the history of humanity seems to have no end. The oldest royal skeleton of the British royal family. You may have heard mysterious stories about skeletons lost for centuries, and one of the most remarkable recent discoveries involves the finding of the oldest royal skeleton of the British royal family. But this story is not just about a regular excavation. It holds historical secrets, pieces of the royal puzzle never before revealed. So, why is the skeleton so important? And is it truly that of one of the first queens of England, Queen Edgith? The story begins when a group of archaeologists unearthed an ancient coffin at Magdeburg Cathedral in southern Germany. Inside the coffin, they found the well-preserved skeleton of a woman, aged 30 to 40, and notably a tag inscribed with the name Edith. If you're not familiar with it, Edith is the Old English name for Queen Edgith, the sister of King Athelstan and the granddaughter of Alfred the Great, the king considered to be the founder of the Kingdom of England. But how can we confirm that this skeleton actually belongs to Edgith? Could it just be a coincidence? In fact, Queen Edgith was a highly significant figure in English history. She lived in the 10th century and was part of the first royal family that played a decisive role in the formation of modern-day England. However, in 1510, her remains were lost when they were moved to another burial site. A memorial to her was erected at Magdeburg Cathedral. Now, after more than 500 years, the question of her fate remains unanswered. But now, with the discovery of the skeleton inside the ancient coffin, archaeologists have reason to believe they've found Queen Edgith. And while it is still just a theory, part of the story is starting to come together. With clear indicators like the woman's age in the coffin and the tag inscribed with Edith, the possibility that this is the skeleton of Queen Edgith becomes more apparent. However, we can't confirm this for sure until further, more complex tests are conducted. Currently, the University of Bristol in the UK is performing a series of bone tests to determine whether this skeleton is indeed a member of the British royal family. Specifically, researchers will compare the radioactive isotopes in this skeleton with those from regions where Queen Edgith lived, such as Wessex and Mercia. This is an important step in confirming the identity of the skeleton, and if the results are positive, it would be a historically valuable discovery. Professor Mark Horton, a key member of the research team, shared, "We know that royal skeletons from early British history were often moved, but we hope the radioactive isotopes from the skeleton will match those from areas where Queen Edgith lived." He also mentioned that if proven correct, this would be one of the most significant archaeological discoveries in recent years. So, the question remains, is this skeleton truly that of Queen Edgith, or is it just a coincidence in a long tale of British royal history? Whatever the final result, finding the skeleton has opened a new door, allowing us to understand more of the missing pieces of England's long history. And when the bones are tested and confirmed, perhaps we'll uncover not only a historical secret, but also an inspiring story of resilience and respect for those who helped build the foundation of a nation. Two skeletons of a couple found in an ancient well. Imagine walking through an ancient land that once witnessed the first steps of human civilization. The wind gently rustles through the dry, sun-scorched grass in the Jezreel Valley, a sacred land in Israel, where every inch holds secrets buried for thousands of years. And then, like a scene from a suspenseful movie, a team of archaeologists uncovers an ancient well, seemingly just a remnant of the past. But no one expected that about 26 feet below, a chilling mystery lay hidden. Two human skeletons lying next to each other, silent for 8,000 years. These are not nameless skeletons. Through preliminary analysis, one is identified as a young woman in her early 20s and the other as a man in his 30s to 40s. They didn't just lie together, they were found in the narrow stone well, only 4.3 feet wide, a space not meant for life nor for peaceful rest. So, who were they? Why did they die in such a strange manner? And what happened on that fateful day 8,000 years ago? There are no clear clues, no signs of violence found on the bones. This only adds to the eerie and perplexing nature of the case. Scientists are still debating, unable to reach a definitive conclusion. One theory suggests they may have accidentally fallen into the well in a tragic accident, but there's also the possibility they were murdered, then thrown into the well to conceal the crime. Each theory leaves a chilling aftertaste, making it impossible to look away from the story. Yotam Tepper, the excavation director, mentioned that the team is working tirelessly to investigate. To unravel this mystery, they plan to conduct ancient forensic examinations, DNA analysis, and study every small detail of the site. Not only have the archaeologists discovered the two skeletons, but they also found several artifacts from the Neolithic period: stone sickles, broken arrowheads, and primitive tools, all scattered around the well, as if someone had left in a hurry, or some sudden event caused the area to be abandoned in the flow of time. Another intriguing detail is that around the well, archaeologists discovered the remains of small farms, traces showing that the area was once home to a Neolithic community, a peaceful, simple life, now reduced to a few crumbling stone pillars and fragments of a long-lost life. What caused the well, once a vital source for the community, to be abandoned? Some suggest the well water was contaminated after the mysterious event, but perhaps the deaths of these two individuals in the well spread fear, causing the residents to abandon the site forever. The story doesn't stop here. The biggest question still hangs in the air. Could this have been a tragic double suicide? Or were they victims of a mysterious sacrificial ritual that modern people have yet to fully understand? The theories are slowly coming to light, each piece of the puzzle revealed, but the final picture is still far from complete. You see, an archaeological discovery is sometimes more than just finding a piece of bone or an ancient artifact. It's a journey to uncover the forgotten slices of human history. It's when the past speaks, inviting us to draw closer to the truth, even if that truth may send chills down our spine. And you, the viewer of this video, do you believe that there are still stories waiting to be told, just beneath that silent layer of earth and stone? Don't forget to follow, because in the next videos, we'll continue to follow the archaeologists on their quest to uncover the mysteries still sleeping in the Jezreel Valley, where two 8,000-year-old souls are waiting for the day to be revived in the light of truth. The Noble Tomb, beneath the burial well in Egypt. If you think the mysteries of ancient Egypt have already been uncovered, then this story will make you rethink that assumption. In the barren, dusty land of El Gorefa, where many groundbreaking excavations have already taken place, Archaeologists have just revealed an incredible discovery: an ancient tomb of an Egyptian noble family, buried deep underground and hidden beneath a mysterious burial well. But what makes this discovery truly timeless is not just its age or ancient beauty, but a shocking fact. The tomb has remained completely intact, untouched for over 2,500 years. Yes, you heard that right. A tomb from ancient Egypt, untouched by looters or destroyed by time or humans. This is truly a living treasure for archaeology. According to Mustafa Waziri, Secretary General of Egypt's Supreme Council of Antiquities, the well, which is 32.8 feet deep, is not just an entrance, but also the key to a large burial chamber carved into solid rock. When the archaeologists began to excavate, they were astonished to find the entrance still sealed with ancient mortar, the very same type of mortar used by the ancient Egyptians more than 2 millennia ago. Behind that seal was a sacred, silent, and solemn space. One of the first coffins identified belonged to Badi Esset, who held the title Overseer of the Royal Treasury, meaning he was in charge of the entire wealth and financial power of the royal court at the time. He was one of the most powerful figures in ancient Egypt, second only to the pharaoh. But there's more. Beside him, there are 4 other large coffins, believed to belong to family members. These coffins have yet to be opened, but initial assessments suggest they may contain well-preserved mummies, as the seal on them has never been broken. However, what truly left the world breathless wasn't just the coffins, but the burial goods found within the tomb chamber. These include 2 intricately crafted limestone statues, one of the sacred bull Apis, a symbol of strength and prosperity, and the other of a goddess whose identity remains uncertain, possibly Isis or Hathor, goddesses associated with protection and motherhood. In addition, archaeologists uncovered several canopic jars containing the mummified organs of the deceased, intricately carved with images of the 4 sons of Horus. These jars are regarded as some of the most beautiful ever found in Egypt. But the treasures don't stop there. Inside the tomb, nearly 1,000 Ushabti figurines were also discovered. These tin-glazed ceramic statues, shaped like servants, were believed to serve the deceased in the afterlife. Each figurine is a work of art, reflecting the immense wealth and status of the family. Moreover, the team found several meticulously crafted amulets and ancient pottery, including kitchenware, but all with priceless artistic and historical value. El Gurefa, a land that seemed to have already revealed all its stories, speaks again, reminding us that the past still holds many secrets. According to Egypt's Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities, this area likely still holds dozens of undiscovered tombs, possibly including other noble and even royal burials. The ancient tomb of the prince's 6 wives. In the heart of modern-day Germany, amidst construction sites that seem to be made entirely of concrete and steel, a centuries-old mystery suddenly emerges. This time, it's unlike anything archaeologists have seen before. During the excavation for a large chicken farm in the Sachsen-Anhalt region near Brückenhackpfeffel, Germany, an unexpected discovery shook the archaeological world. An ancient tomb with a strange, eerie, and incredibly mysterious structure, located in the center of an ancient cemetery. And at the heart of this tomb were the remains of 6 women lying in a circle around a strange vessel, as if part of a forgotten ritual that still whispers a tragic story from 1,500 years ago. This tomb is unlike any other ever uncovered before. The circular structure, the central sacred position within the cemetery, and the lavish artifacts found suggest that this could be the final resting place of a prince or a powerful lord in ancient society. But here's the paradox: the body of the powerful man who should be at the center of this tomb has not been found. Meanwhile, the 6 women lying around the vessel remain the most mysterious figures of all. Who were they? Why were they there? And what happened in their final moments? There are 2 theories, both of which are chilling. First, they might have been loyal concubines, chosen to die alongside their noble husband in a brutal ritual that appeared in many ancient cultures. But there's another, even darker possibility. They weren't wives, but young girls who were sacrificed, part of a haunting ceremony that history has yet to fully understand. Regardless of which theory is true, the truth remains buried with the bones, and the archaeologists have yet to make a final conclusion. The vessel at the center of the tomb adds an even more mysterious element to the story. It is placed in the center as if a sacred object, yet it is completely empty. No ashes, no bones, no artifacts inside. What was its true purpose? Was it a symbol of a lost ritual? Or perhaps a shrine for the spirit of the deceased? No one can be certain, but it's undoubtedly an important piece in this strange puzzle. What's even more surprising is that 11 animals were also buried with the tomb, from dogs and horses to livestock. These animals weren't sacrificed in a ritual. Instead, they had already died and were placed in the tomb as part of the ceremonial process honoring the deceased. This detail only adds to the sacred and mysterious atmosphere surrounding the tomb. The burial goods found in the tomb are truly treasures. Gold, silver, glass, and ceramics, all crafted with exceptional skill, showcasing the immense wealth and power of the people involved. The glass pieces, in particular, revealed the true age of the tomb, about 1,500 years old, coming from Gallo-Roman workshops along the Rhine River, known for their glassmaking skills in the ancient world. Even more remarkably, the entire tomb area has never been looted. One reason for this could be its location in a depression, where over 4 feet of sediment naturally formed a protective shield from the eyes of tomb robbers. Thanks to this, the main tomb has remained intact like a time machine, taking us back through the ages. And perhaps the most fascinating detail? The other tombs in the cemetery are all arranged in a circle around the central tomb, suggesting that all the graves are bowing in reverence to the deceased, even though he may still be missing beneath his own land. A symbol of absolute reverence or perhaps fear of a power too great to be ignored in life. From a simple chicken farm project, archaeologists have uncovered an ancient story, one where the boundaries between power, death, and ritual have blurred over the centuries. The tomb in Sachsen-Anhalt is not just an archaeological discovery, it is a reminder. History has never been silent, it has merely been waiting to be heard. The 13-year-old girl who has been sleeping peacefully for 4,900 years. By the Pyramid, an unveiled mystery of ancient Egypt. Egypt, the land of mysteries, where the sands of time have never stopped telling their stories. But amidst the colossal sphinxes, towering pyramids, and mummies that have become symbols of the ancient world, a new story has been revealed. One that has stunned archaeologists and left the entire world holding its breath. This is the story of a young girl, just 13 years old, who has rested for 4,900 years in an ancient tomb near the Maidum Pyramid, located south of Cairo. She wasn't a princess, and there's no sign that she belonged to royalty. Yet, the way she was buried commands respect. In a fetal position, knees drawn to her chest, as though sleeping in a squatting position, a posture never before recorded in any ancient Egyptian burial practice. She wasn't placed in a coffin, nor was she wrapped in linen like the traditional mummies, but next to her were 2 enormous skulls of male cattle, a sacred animal in Egyptian culture, along with 3 ancient ceramic jars. Who was she to be buried with such prestigious offerings? That question remains unanswered to this day. Archaeologists have called this one of the strangest and most mysterious discoveries in recent years. The tomb was found in a cemetery with thick brick walls, now completely collapsed. However, tests have shown that the girl passed away around 4,600 years ago, exactly the same age as the Maidum Pyramid. And it is that very pyramid, located near where the girl rests, that continues to puzzle researchers. Initially, the Maidum Pyramid was built as a step pyramid by Pharaoh Huni, who reigned around 2599 BC. However, his successor, Pharaoh Sneferu, didn't stop there. He transformed it into a true pyramid, not just a symbol of power, but also a significant step forward in ancient Egyptian architecture. Sneferu didn't just improve the Maidum Pyramid, he built several others, perhaps as experimental versions for an even greater structure. And then came Khufu, Sneferu's son, who continued his father's dream by building the Great Pyramid of Giza, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, still admired by humanity to this day. Could it be that, amidst these grand projects, the young girl was also part of a larger story, a missing piece in the evolutionary journey of ancient Egyptian civilization? Why was she buried there, right beside what once served as the laboratory for the architecture of one of the greatest pharaohs? Was she the daughter of a brilliant architect, or someone with a special role in the nobility? Or could it be, as a strange theory suggests, that she was a sacrifice, chosen to offer prayers to the gods for the success of the great project being built? Up to this point, it remains only a hypothesis. But what's certain is that the story of the 13-year-old girl and her resting place has opened a new door for us to look back at the past, a place where mysteries that have never been solved still lie beneath the scorching sands of the desert. And who knows, after this discovery, how many more secrets might be waiting to be revealed, right? Chinese archaeologists open a 1,400-year-old coffin, and what they discovered inside shocked the world. Xi'an, a name that resonates deeply with anyone fascinated by Chinese history. This city was once the capital of several dynasties and has witnessed countless dramatic changes over thousands of years. But what few people know is that beneath the concrete and steel of this vibrant modern city lies a hidden underground world full of ancient secrets. Among these, one particular discovery sent shivers down the spines of archaeologists. As skyscrapers began rising across central Xi'an, builders had to dig deep foundations. In doing so, heavy drilling equipment accidentally uncovered a secret buried for over 1,400 years. In 1957, at what appeared to be just another ordinary construction site, a group of workers noticed something unusual about the soil. Stones seemed deliberately arranged, and an unfamiliar structure slowly emerged. Archaeologists were quickly called in. Through careful excavation, they identified the site as a royal tomb from the northern Zhou to Sui dynasty period, dating back to the 6th century. The tomb belonged to a young girl named Li Jingxun, the granddaughter of Empress Yang Lihua. Though she passed away at the tender age of 9, her burial was lavish beyond imagination, surpassing even that of Emperor Wen of Sui, the ruler of China at the time. Li Jingxun's stone sarcophagus was no ordinary coffin. It was designed in the style of a palace, complete with a carved domed roof, showcasing the masterful craftsmanship of ancient artisans. Archaeologists stated that they had never seen a sarcophagus with such artistic and historical value. Inside was a veritable treasure trove, countless pieces of jewelry and precious stones. Among them stood out a stunning necklace made of gemstones and pearls, so exquisitely crafted that it is now on display at the National Museum of China. Another extraordinary artifact discovered was an oval-shaped glass bottle, manufactured with such sophisticated technique that even modern experts were left in awe. Clearly, the glass-blowing skills of over a millennium ago had reached an astonishing level few would have believed possible. But what truly sent chills down everyone's spine was the inscription on the lid of the sarcophagus: "Whoever opens this shall die." Was this a real curse? For over 14 centuries, not a single tomb raider dared to disturb the site. Could these 4 words have protected the grave all this time? Some scholars believe it was simply a psychological deterrent. Yet others subscribe to a more heartfelt theory, that Empress Yang Lihua, who adored her granddaughter more than anyone, had those words engraved to guard Li Jingxun, even in the afterlife. A message from a grieving grandmother's broken heart, transformed into a curse forever etched into history. Perhaps we'll continue debating the true meaning of that ominous inscription. But one thing is undeniable: the past never truly stays silent. Fragments of history and memories buried deep underground will one day resurface, reminding us that no matter how advanced we become, humanity will always be drawn to the mysteries of time. What do you think about the phrase, "Whoever opens this shall die"? Is it a curse or an eternal act of love? Whatever your answer may be, the story of this ancient tomb in Xi'an not only stunned the world with its mystique and grandeur, but also reminds us that beneath seemingly quiet earth, there are secrets beyond imagination waiting to be discovered. And it's not just Xi'an. All around the world, the journey to uncover the past continues quietly, sometimes with a single accidental shovel hit, other times through excavations lasting years. The results are often spectacular stories, from untouched tombs in Egypt to the 1,000-strong terracotta army in China to entire cities buried under volcanic ash. Now, let's take a step beyond the borders of ancient China to explore some of the greatest archaeological discoveries ever recorded. Monuments that didn't just reshape history, but also force us to re-examine the origins and evolution of human civilization itself. The mummified infant. On February 3, 2018, while cleaning out the home of their late mother in North Yorkshire, England, the 3 Thompson siblings, 1 son and 2 daughters, were shocked to uncover a terrifying secret that their mother had hidden her entire life. While cleaning under the stairs, they discovered a box, just over 18 inches long, tucked inside a drawer. Inside the box was an envelope and the mummified remains of a small baby, wrapped in layers of clothing. Overwhelmed and frightened, they immediately took the box to the nearest police station to have it investigated. Detective Sergeant Matthew Wilkinson from North Yorkshire Police stated that after inspection, it appeared to be the mummified body of an infant, placed inside the box sometime in the late 1950s or early 1960s. The letter found in the box was dated August 1968. DNA testing later confirmed that the infant was indeed the child of Carol and Melvin Thompson, making it the full sibling of the 3 living Thompson children. Strangely, however, no one in the family, including Melvin Thompson himself, had any knowledge of the baby's existence, except for Carol. Despite efforts to investigate further, authorities were unable to determine how or why the child died, or why the mummified remains were hidden in the house on Dexter Way. Assistant Coroner John Broadbridge described it as the most unsettling case in his 25-year career. He added that it was unclear whether the baby died before or after birth, but there were no signs of trauma to the bones. "This is a tragedy, heartbreaking and incredibly sad," he said, that their mother carried such a painful secret to her grave. Carol and Melvin Thompson married in 1968 and divorced in 1996. Carol moved into the Dexter Way residence in 2004 and passed away in January of that year. All 3 of her surviving children were born after 1968, which means the infant they discovered was, in fact, their older brother. 700-year-old ancient tomb, engraved with the name, Great Sage Equal to Heaven. In the 1980s, a mysterious discovery in Fujian Province, China, captured the attention of the archaeological community. An ancient tomb was accidentally found atop Mount Baoshan. What caused a particular stir were 2 stone tablets at the site, engraved with the titles Tomb of the Great Sage Equal to Heaven and Tomb of the Heavenly Sage Supreme. Despite the wear of time, the curiosity surrounding the origins and true identity of the tomb's owner remained undiminished. After meticulous research, archaeologists concluded that the tomb dated back to the Yuan dynasty, a period marked by rich cultural and mystical elements in Chinese history. The tomb was not merely a final resting place for 2 enigmatic individuals, but it also contained numerous relics associated with monkeys, an animal deeply woven into Chinese folklore and mythology. Historians and archaeologists began to speculate. Could the tomb's occupants have been the real-life inspirations for the character Sun Wukong, the Monkey King, in Journey to the West, one of the 4 great classical novels of Chinese literature? Journey to the West, believed to have been completed around 1590, tells the story of the monk Tang Sanzang and his disciples on a pilgrimage to obtain sacred scriptures. Among the disciples, Sun Wukong, titled The Great Sage Equal to Heaven, stands out with his supernatural powers and remarkable personality. Adding to the intrigue was the presence of about 23-foot iron staff discovered within the tomb. This immediately drew comparisons to Sun Wukong's magical weapon, the Ruyi Jinggu Bang, and raised questions. Could this tomb be more than just a symbolic homage? Might Journey to the West contain traces of actual historical elements rather than being purely fictional? While many theories have been proposed, some experts argue that the titles Great Sage Equal to Heaven and Heavenly Sage Supreme were products of imagination, possibly created by an enthusiastic admirer of the novel who sought to recreate its legendary elements through tangible artifacts. Another intriguing theory suggests that the Monkey King may have been inspired by a real mythological being named Wujiki, said to have lived in the Huai River. Wujiki was described as possessing immense strength and the appearance of a large ape. Wu Cheng'en, the author of Journey to the West, is believed to have drawn from such myths when crafting the vivid and dynamic character of Sun Wukong. To this day, the true identity of the tomb's owner remains an unsolved mystery. Debates and hypotheses continue to emerge within the archaeological field. Some believe the tomb belonged to actual individuals who may have later inspired the creation of Sun Wukong, while others view it as an artistic or religious expression reflective of the cultural imagination of the time. Regardless of the truth, this discovery adds a compelling layer to China's rich tapestry of history and culture. It opens new avenues for research into the origins of literary masterpieces and fuels the imagination of those passionate about exploration and knowledge. The Tomb of the Great Sage, Equal to Heaven, and the Heavenly Sage Supreme in Fujian, China, will undoubtedly continue to be referenced as an inseparable part of the intricate and colorful story of Chinese heritage. The mysterious hanging coffins. Despite surviving for thousands of years, these hanging coffins continue to baffle modern experts. Many believe that ancient civilizations lacked the technology and capability to carry out something so complex. How did they manage to lift coffins weighing hundreds of pounds up steep cliff faces without leaving a single trace? The mystery was so compelling that an archaeological organization offered a reward of 400,000 yuan, about $55,000 USD, for answers. The plot thickened when a local farmer claimed he held the key to the ancient secret. Hanging coffins were a burial practice of some of China's ancient ethnic minorities, where coffins were placed on wooden beams inserted into cliff walls. In some regions, they were set inside natural caves located dozens of feet above the ground. Among the most famous sites is Mount Longhu, Dragon Tiger Mountain, in Jiangxi Province, where rows of hanging coffins line sheer cliffs above a vast river, creating a breathtaking and mysterious scene. This setting raises the obvious question: how did the ancients move these heavy coffins into such treacherous locations? According to experts, each coffin could weigh more than 660 pounds, and yet many remain intact after thousands of years. Despite numerous expeditions and studies, no definitive answers have been found about the techniques or tools used. In 1978, an archaeological team was formed to study the hanging coffins at Mount Longhu. With help from locals, researchers discovered that the people buried in the coffins likely belonged to the Baigui ethnic group, who lived around 10,600 years ago. The Baigui people resided in mountainous and river-filled areas, so cliffside burials may have been part of their cultural traditions. However, the greatest mystery remains: how did they manage such a difficult task? In 1989, a longtime resident of the Longhu mountain area claimed he knew the secret behind the burial custom. The farmer described a pulley-like device that might have been used by the ancients to hoist the coffins up the cliffs. Experts tested the theory and found it plausible. They successfully lifted heavy objects using a similar mechanism. But here's the catch: no physical evidence of pulleys or similar tools has ever been found on the cliffs. Even more puzzling is that there is no historical record indicating that the Baigui people had access to such technology. Rope making and load-bearing tools at the time were not advanced enough to accomplish such feats, at least based on what we know. Though the pulley theory offers some explanation, critical gaps remain. Lifting coffins to cliff faces nearly 330 feet high still presents a massive scientific challenge. Archaeologists have tested various methods, but none have proven entirely convincing. Could the ancients have used a technique that modern science has yet to uncover? Or is this simply one of the many enigmas history has left unsolved? While the technical mystery behind the hanging coffins remains unanswered, research and exploration continue. Perhaps with future advancements in technology and archaeology, we will someday solve this ancient puzzle. Hanging coffins are not just rare archaeological artifacts, they are monuments to the creativity and determination of ancient people, igniting endless curiosity and admiration. In the end, this may be a mystery that never finds a complete answer, but it continues to inspire generations of scientists, historians, and explorers. Do you believe that one day we'll finally discover the truth behind this 2,000-year-old secret? I believe we will. What about you? The strange dragon, found in ancient tomb. In 1959, a farmer from Daohua Village, Shilo County, Luoyang City, Shanxi Province, China, was plowing his field with his ox when he discovered a dark hole in the ground. Upon investigation, the farmer realized it was an ancient tomb and reported it to the local Cultural Heritage Committee. While waiting for the archaeological team to arrive, several locals descended into the tomb to search for treasures. However, before they could go inside, they suddenly noticed that the earth below the tomb had turned a red color, resembling blood. Terrified, they fled and did not dare to look back. When the Shanxi archaeological team arrived and investigated, they confirmed that the tomb was large and of high significance. Inside the tomb, there was a significant amount of cinnabar, which caused the red color resembling blood. The tomb dates back to the Shangzhou period, approximately 3,000 years ago. After more than 20 days of continuous excavation, the archaeologists unearthed over 50 bronze artifacts from the Shangzhou period. These included a complete set of bells, 7 bronze collars, and many other large and small bronze items. Based on the unearthed items, the archaeological team concluded that this was a noble's tomb from the late Shang dynasty to the Zhou dynasty. A month later, the team finished classifying the artifacts and packed them into boxes. The next step was to transport them to the laboratory for cleaning and restoration. Just as they were about to leave, a heavy rain began to pour. One archaeologist suddenly remembered that an artifact had not yet been removed, so he and a colleague ventured back into the tomb through the rain to retrieve it. As the rain intensified, the water inside the tomb rose quickly, soon reaching knee height. The two archaeologists carefully made their way through the water when one of them stumbled over something hidden beneath the water. Almost falling, his colleague managed to steady him. Puzzled, the archaeologist thought to himself, "Everything should have been cleared out. What could still be left in this tomb?" He reached down into the water and felt around for a while, eventually unearthing something unforgettable. A bronze dragon with sharp, menacing teeth. Shocked, he rushed outside shouting, "I found a treasure! Everyone, come and see!" The other archaeologists, who had been busy packing, stopped their work and gathered around. They saw that the bronze dragon had a very unusual shape, with intricate patterns never seen before. A specialist immediately suggested, "Contact the police as soon as possible. There might still be more artifacts inside." To prevent the theft of any remaining valuable cultural relics, the archaeological team quickly submitted a request to the local police to secure the site. A group of officers arrived shortly afterward and took turns guarding the tomb. After examination, it was confirmed that the dragon was, in fact, a green bronze wine vessel. It measured 17 inches in length and 5 inches in width. The belly of the dragon was curved and swollen, with a flat-cut tail and a hook-shaped ornament on its back. The overall shape resembled a dragon boat anchored on water with a truly unique design. The archaeologists confirmed that they had never seen a dragon like this before. Based on the style of the artifact, they believed that it was a wine vessel from the Shang dynasty. Not only that, it was made of green bronze, and due to its material and age, experts stated that it had significant value, potentially even a national treasure. They named it Longxing Guang, meaning dragon-shaped wine vessel. To trace the origin of the Longxing Guang, the archaeological team gathered clues from across the country. Eventually, they discovered its owner. It belonged to the father-in-law of Zhang Zia, a founding minister of the Zhou dynasty in the 12th century BC and the founder of the state of Qi in ancient China. Legend has it that when Zhang Zia served under King Wu of Zhou, he hosted a banquet at home to welcome the king. Food and wine were served, and King Wu was drawn to a wine vessel shaped like a dragon, which hung from the ceiling by a rope. Its posture was dignified, and with a slight lift of the dragon's tail, wine would flow from its mouth. King Wu greatly admired the vessel and asked Zhang Zia about its origin. To the king's surprise, Zhang Zia avoided revealing its history, prompting King Wu to stand and prepare to leave in anger. Zhang Zia hurriedly explained that the wine vessel had been made by his father-in-law to pray for innocent lives lost due to King Zhou's cruelty. Afterward, Zhang Zia's father-in-law gifted the vessel to him. When Zhang Zia's father-in-law passed away, Zhang Zia buried the vessel in his tomb. Thus, the experts confirmed that the owner of the ancient tomb found in Shanxi was indeed the father-in-law of Zhang Zia. This tomb and the items found within have significant value for archaeological research. As for the dragon-shaped wine vessel, it has been designated as a national cultural relic by the State Administration of Cultural Heritage and is prohibited from being exhibited abroad. It is currently on display at the Shanxi Museum in China, where it is showcased as a national treasure in the main hall. If you have the chance, you may visit and admire it there. The Forbidden Land of 700 Years in China. When people talk about the army of over 8,000 terracotta warriors of Emperor Qin Shi Huang, many are awestruck by its scale and admire the ingenuity of the ancients. However, an archaeological discovery in a remote mountain village in southern Hunan province, China, might make some reconsider. Deep within a mountain range so densely forested that sunlight barely penetrates, lies a mysterious abandoned village called Guangdong Village. According to historical records, the village has existed for over 700 years. Local villagers have passed down stories from their ancestors that the mountain surrounding the village is mystical and is referred to as a forbidden land. For generations, no one dared set foot on the mountain alone unless war or natural disaster forced them to approach its base to perform rituals or offer prayers. Village elders have long warned locals to stay away, fearing it would bring misfortune. For 700 years, the village remained completely uninhabited. But things began to change mysteriously about 30 years ago. After heavy rainfalls, villagers began to notice strange stone statues appearing at the foot of the mountain. These stone figures came in various sizes. Some were only about a foot tall, while others were nearly life-sized. This raised a compelling question. Why were there stone figures in this remote mountain area? Curiosity soon overtook fear. A group of brave villagers decided to venture up the mountain to find out what lay beyond the forbidden land. However, shortly after entering, they fled in panic. They described intense winds, thick fog, and eerie, incomprehensible sounds that seemed to fill their minds. Disoriented and terrified, they ran back down the mountain. After that, no one dared to return. Some villagers proposed reporting the incident to the local Cultural Relics Bureau. A team of experts was quickly assembled to investigate the scene. Upon close examination, archaeologists observed that the statues ranged in height from about 12 inches to over 3 feet. The crude craftsmanship suggested that many of the figures dated back around 5,000 years, placing them in the era of the legendary emperors Yao and Shun. Determined to uncover the truth, the archaeological team pushed forward into the Forbidden Land, confronting the 700-year-old legends that had kept people away. Eventually, they reached the village safely and were stunned by what they found. Before them lay a scene straight out of legend. Tens of thousands of stone statues, as though they had entered a lost kingdom of stone guardians. There were figures in all sorts of poses, sitting, standing, soldiers in formation, officials holding memorial tablets, and mighty generals frozen in time. The diversity was overwhelming. Experts consulted ancient texts from before the Qin dynasty and speculated that this might have been a massive sacrificial site, possibly even the burial ground of Emperor Shun, a revered ancient ruler. Many of the stone figures, they believed, were carved by future generations to accompany his spirit in the afterlife. What's more, archaeologists discovered that some statues were buried underground, hidden from view for centuries. The discovery of tens of thousands of stone statues sent shockwaves through the archaeological community across China. Experts now believe this may be the largest known collection of ancient stone statues, possibly rivaling the Terracotta Army in scale and historical significance. Today, the site has been officially designated as a protected cultural relic, guarded carefully to preserve its mysteries and heritage. This discovery has been hailed as one of the most astonishing archaeological finds in modern Chinese history. The Tomb and the Cursed Tablets. Can you imagine that beneath an elegant, centuries-old hospital in the heart of France lies a mysterious Roman-era burial ground? And within that quiet underground realm are cursed lead tablets, amulets engraved with an extinct language once meant to invoke the gods or bring harm to enemies? This is exactly what was uncovered in one of this year's most baffling archaeological finds. A forgotten graveyard beneath an 18th century hospital in Orléans, located about 75 miles southwest of Paris. During restoration work on the old hospital, archaeologists unearthed more than 60 wooden coffins lined along a crumbling wall. Many of the coffins still retained faint traces of color, untouched by cremation. These signs led researchers to suspect this was no ordinary cemetery. According to the Orléans Archaeological Service, the individuals buried here may have belonged to a specific social group, perhaps people of the same profession or status. But the real mystery was yet to come. Inside 21 of the graves, archaeologists discovered something entirely unexpected. 21 defixiones, or curse tablets. These were thin pieces of lead, about the size of a human palm, inscribed with strange writing, pierced with nails, and buried with the dead. But these were no ordinary burial items. In ancient Roman culture, such tablets were used to communicate with the divine, to ask the gods to curse enemies or grant wishes. Each one was a prayer, a plea, or even a grudge sent into the afterlife. One particularly notable grave contained a man buried with a curse tablet placed between his legs, along with a broken clay jar and several coins, perhaps part of a ritual meant to guide the soul to the other side. After excavation, the tablet was sent to a restoration lab, where experts used reflectance transformation imaging, RTI, a modern technique that reveals eroded inscriptions. What they discovered was astonishing. The text was written in Gaulish, a branch of the ancient Celtic language family that has been extinct for centuries. Although the Roman Empire conquered Gaul, local people continued to speak Gaulish in daily life, though very little was ever written down. This made each surviving text a rare treasure for linguistic scholars. Imagine it. Someone over 2,000 years ago, in a moment of desperation, engraved their final message in a fading native tongue onto a fragile piece of lead and buried it with themselves, either to appeal to the gods or to leave a dire warning for the future. This discovery doesn't just offer insight into the Gaulish language, it opens an entirely new window into the spiritual and cultural lives of the native people under Roman rule. These weren't passive subjects, they preserved their identity, their rituals, and their language in secret ways. The excavation at Orléans is expected to wrap up by the end of this month. All the materials, curse tablets, coins, pottery shards, even coffin dust, will undergo detailed lab analysis. Scientists hope these findings will further unravel the mysteries of these cursed men and the hidden stories beneath the silent soil. A cemetery buried for millennia. Curses written in a language lost to time. Secrets hidden in the earth, now slowly coming to light. Have we truly understood the past? Or are we just scratching the surface of a vast, sunken iceberg? It's a question we may not answer just yet, but with each new discovery, we inch closer. The mummified girl, buried for nearly 150 years, but still looks asleep. In one of the busiest cities in America, San Francisco, where traffic horns blare, life moves fast, and skyscrapers crowd every inch of space, no one could have imagined that beneath the garage of an ordinary house lay a secret buried for nearly 150 years. The story began in May 2016, when a group of landscapers doing routine garden work stumbled upon an unusual metal object. Digging deeper, they unearthed a solid bronze coffin, less than 3 feet long, intricately crafted and resting silently in the cold earth. The lid of the coffin featured a foggy glass window, and through it, the sight left everyone breathless. The body of a young girl, with curly blonde hair, pale skin, and a face perfectly preserved, as if peacefully sleeping. She lay dressed in a pristine white Victorian-era dress, wearing knee-high boots, with lavender flowers in her hair and a small floral cross held in her hands. Although nearly a century and a half had passed, everything inside the coffin, from her body to the accompanying items, remained astonishingly intact. Experts quickly got involved and concluded that the extraordinary preservation was likely due to the special airtight construction of the coffin. Sealed with no gaps or exposure to the elements, it significantly slowed the natural process of decomposition, effectively capturing a living photograph of the past, as if time had stood still. But who was this girl? Why had she been buried so quietly and anonymously beneath a home for so long without anyone knowing? To find answers, the nonprofit organization Garden of Innocence took on the case. The investigation took over a year and involved tracing old cemetery maps, historical records, and modern technology such as DNA testing. Eventually, the girl's identity was uncovered. Her name was Edith Howard Cook, born in 1873 and passed away on October 13, 1876, just weeks before her 3rd birthday. Her cause of death was determined to be severe malnutrition. There was no evidence she had been treated with common medicines of the era, such as morphine or mercury, suggesting her passing was quiet, during a time when medical knowledge was still limited. The breakthrough came when the team discovered an old cemetery map at the University of California, Berkeley. That led them to the burial sites of Edith's parents. Further DNA testing eventually identified a living relative, Peter Cook, an 82-year-old man living in Napa, California, who shared genetic markers with Edith, confirming their shared lineage. When informed, Peter was deeply moved and said, "I jumped for joy. I finally connected the missing pieces of our family tree. Now I have a special story to pass on to future generations." After hearing the full story, Erica Carner, the current homeowner, decided to arrange a respectful reburial for Edith. In June 2016, she was laid to rest again at Greenlawn Memorial Park in Colma, California. A heart-shaped headstone was erected, giving her a new name, Miranda Eve, engraved with the words, "The child loved by the world. If no one mourns, no one remembers." Edith's, Miranda Eve's, story is more than just an eerie coincidence. It is a touching reminder that while time may bury bodies, it cannot erase memory. And as you can see, with each excavation and every discovery, we're offered a chance to bridge past and present, giving names and stories back to the forgotten souls of history. Isn't that something truly extraordinary? Ancient board games, unearthed from tombs and caves in Azerbaijan. In today's tech-driven world, you may have spent hours pondering your next move in a game of chess or tic-tac-toe. But did you know that this seemingly ordinary pastime is tied to a historical journey that spans thousands of years? A team of archaeologists from the Netherlands and the United States recently uncovered a surprising secret. 6 ancient game boards, estimated to be 4,500 years old, were excavated in Azerbaijan, a region straddling Eastern Europe and Western Asia, known as a crossroad of ancient civilizations. Led by Walter Christ of Leiden University and Rahman Abdullayev of the Minnesota Historical Society, the team discovered these game boards not only in elaborate tombs, but also in caves once inhabited by Bronze Age hunters. What shocked researchers the most was the design. All the boards featured patterns resembling the game Hounds and Jackals, an ancient board game long believed to have originated in Egypt. But this time, the boards were not buried beneath pyramids or within pharaohs' tombs. They were found among grasslands and rocky terrain in Azerbaijan. Previously, scholars believed Hounds and Jackals was invented by the Egyptians, based on a board recovered from the tomb of a Middle Kingdom official. However, new evidence from the Absheron Peninsula and Gobustan Reserve is forcing archaeologists to rewrite the narrative. Some of these newly uncovered boards are older than those found in Egypt, pushing the game's origin back by centuries. This raises a provocative question. Could the true birthplace of the game lie in Western Asia, not along the Nile River as once thought? Even more fascinating is that the boards weren't confined to royal settings. They were also found in caves where ordinary people once lived. This has led scholars to realize that board games served as more than just entertainment. They were tools of social connection, cutting across geographic, class, and cultural boundaries. From herders in the Caucasus to Assyrian traders in Anatolia, pyramid builders in Egypt, and Eastern nobles, all were captivated by a seemingly simple game. The board became a space not only for amusement, but for communication, strategy, negotiation, and even moments of equality, where a commoner could checkmate a king. So next time you're deep in a game with friends, you might be reenacting a habit shared by prehistoric humans over 4,000 years ago. In that moment, you're not so different from an ancient Egyptian or a hunter in Western Asia, united by a love of tactics, clever moves, and the thrill of victory. In a world often divided by language, class, and belief, these boards have become what researchers call social lubricants, bringing people closer together without the need for many words. This discovery not only enriches the history of gaming, but also invites us to reflect on our shared humanity. Just imagine, the next time you place a piece on the board and look at your opponent, you're not just playing a game. You're participating in a tradition that's lasted over 4 millennia, stretching from Egypt to Azerbaijan, from royalty to the everyday person. The Secret Letter of Empress Dowager Cixi. Throughout China's long and glorious history, one name continues to spark both fascination and fear: Empress Dowager Cixi. She wasn't just the most powerful woman of the Qing dynasty, she symbolized a dark, turbulent era of imperial decline, political intrigue, and resistance to change. Born in 1833 with the name Yulan, she hailed from the noble Yehe Nara clan, a prominent Manchu family. At 17, she was selected to enter the imperial harem, marking the beginning of a fierce struggle for power that would eventually lead her to the very top of the empire. No one at the time could have imagined that this delicate, willow-like girl would go on to rule China behind the scenes for nearly half a century. Starting from the lowest rank in the palace, Cixi gradually gained Emperor Xianfeng's favor. She rose from noble lady to concubine Yi, then consort Yi, and eventually became the noble consort, largely thanks to giving birth to the emperor's son, Zai Chun, who would later ascend the throne as the Tongzhai emperor. Her fate changed dramatically in 1861, when Emperor Xianfeng died, leaving the 5-year-old Zai Chun as heir. According to the emperor's final edict, state affairs were to be handled by a council of 8 regents, known as the 8 Regents of State. But Cixi had no intention of sitting silently behind the curtain. She realized that if she let the regents control the court, she and her son would become mere puppets. So, alongside Empress Dowager Xian, who seemed gentle but was equally shrewd, Cixi conspired to overthrow the regents. With support from Prince Gong and other allies within the court, she launched a historic coup. The regents were dismissed, exiled, or even executed. From then on, Cixi officially ruled from behind the curtain, directly managing state affairs even as emperors nominally remained on the throne. She held power for 48 years, not just during Tongji's reign, but also under Emperor Guangxu and briefly under Emperor Xuantong. One woman controlling the fate of an entire nation. Yet the mysteries surrounding Cixi have never ceased to stir debate. During a renovation of the Forbidden City, archaeologists stumbled upon a hidden letter left behind by Cixi. Its contents shocked the entire team, not just for its political scheming, but also for its surprisingly poor grammar and spelling. Though history records that Cixi mastered the 5 classics, was fluent in Manchu, and had read all 24 official histories, the 237-character letter contained 12 spelling errors. Even more astonishing was a handwritten copy of the Heart Sutra found alongside the letter. Written in her own hand, the characters were sloppy, rushed, and lacked the reverence and elegance one would expect from such an influential figure. This discovery raised a provocative question. Was the image of Cixi as a highly educated, cultured woman just a facade she carefully constructed? Could it have been part of a strategy to instill fear and respect in her subjects and hide her own vulnerabilities? Was she the mastermind behind her myth, shaping even historical records to project an image of terrifying perfection? Cixi was a paradox, ruthless yet clever, ambitious yet insecure. She initiated reforms, only to stifle them later. She used her position as the emperor's favorite and mother to seize power, yet her influence contributed to the tragic downfall of both the Tongji and Guangxu emperors. Today, the Qing dynasty has long since collapsed, and Cixi has turned to dust. But the debates, secrets, and power games she left behind continue to haunt Chinese history. Was she a tyrant, or a political genius, a ruthless ruler, or a victim of her era? Feel free to share your thoughts below. Let's discuss. 130,000-year-old baby tooth found in the mountains. On May 17, 2022, scientists and archaeologists made a special announcement in the journal Nature Communications, which caught the attention of many. They had excavated a tooth in a small cave called Cobra Cave, located in the Annamite Mountains in Laos. The researchers believe the tooth belonged to a young girl who lived at least 130,000 years ago and was likely a Denisovan, a mysterious group of early humans first identified in 2010. The Denisovans, one of the closest relatives of modern humans, are thought to have diverged from their Neanderthal relatives around 400,000 years ago, with the Neanderthals migrating across Europe and the Denisovans heading east toward Asia. While many Neanderthal artifacts have been discovered, Denisovan remains have been extremely rare. In fact, all the Denisovan bones and teeth ever found could fit into a bag the size of a sandwich bag, all of which were discovered in Siberia and Tibet. However, scientists had long suspected that the Denisovans ventured further south. The discovery of this tooth in Laos now strengthens that belief. The recent discovery, published in Nature Communications, shows the incredible range where the Denisovans once lived, from frozen mountains and plateaus to the humid lowlands of Southeast Asia. Archaeologist Laura Shackelford remarked, "This makes me think about how similar they were to us. It's a sign of modern humanity." The Denisovan tooth might be one of many new discoveries, suggesting that much more remains to be uncovered in Southeast Asia. For nearly a decade, the only known remains of Denisovans were a few teeth, a pinky bone, and a skull fragment found in caves in southern Siberia. Then, in 2019, a surprising announcement revealed the discovery of a Denisovan jaw, known as the Shahe mandible, in the Baixia cave on the edge of the Tibetan plateau. The overall shape and internal structure of this molar resemble other Denisovan teeth previously identified in Tibet. The fossil remains of this mysterious group are exceedingly rare. The newly discovered molar from Laos may help scientists unlock many secrets about the Denisovans. Clément Zanoli, a co-author of the study and paleoanthropologist at the University of Bordeaux in France, explained, "The tooth is like a little black box of a person's life. Its shape, internal structure, chemistry, and wear patterns could preserve information about age, diet, and even the climate of their environment. The research team analyzed the fossil tooth from Cobra Cave and determined that it belonged to a young girl, between 2.5 and 8.5 years old. Due to the high temperature and humidity, the specimen was poorly preserved, making it difficult to precisely date. However, using protein analysis and 3D X-ray reconstruction, the scientists estimated that the tooth dates back between 131,000 and 164,000 years. In the next phase of their research, the team will analyze the oxygen and carbon chemistry of the tooth enamel to learn about the climate where this Denisovan girl lived and the food she consumed when the tooth formed. Dear friends, perhaps the most fascinating thing about archaeology is not just the ancient artifacts thousands of years old, but the spine-tingling feeling when we touch a piece of history that remains intact. Each discovery leaves the world in awe because it not only reveals what happened in the past, but also makes us question, how much do we really know about this world? What about you? Which discovery impressed you the most among those shared? Please leave your thoughts in the comments below. Also, don't forget to give the channel a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Now, goodbye and see you next time.